Hello again, friends! And you are our friends.
Not for long.
Some of us, at least a friend. I already lost the plot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Jim Cornette's Drive Thru right here. There we go, the old-fashioned one. Wherever you find us on this day, it's windy, it's blustery, so's the wrestling talk.
It's fucking cold, Ollie.
I'm your host, the great Brian Last. There's an early in the show. I'm your host, the great Brian Last, and here he is, Mr. fucking Jim Cornette.
Well, how the fuck are you? Around and find out.
The bleep special here this week.
Well, I forgot about the clock because it's cold. It's fornicating cold outside here in Louisville, Kentucky. You're supposed to be cold. You're in New Jersey. Our average high is supposed to be 50 degrees. And it was in the teens this morning with an ill wind blowing again. It made the wind chill around zero, whatever side of the river you were on, give or take 3 or 4 degrees. And I get my little puppy. You know, the only thing that I liked about my life before that we added Harley Quinn to our family is I didn't have to go outside on a cold day. And now I got to get, she's wearing fur. She don't mind it a bit. But I understand we got a packed show today. How come always your show is packed there, pal?
It's the time of the week. It's the way things happen to have happened during this.
Happened to have happened?
That's right. Weather.
Only time will tell if it stands the test of time, but normally I'm like, what are we going to talk about on Experience? There's nobody doing nothing. And today, a lot of people have said a lot of things about a lot of people. And plus that we had a fantastic television program from a very unexpected source. And then when we had a just fucking rotten television program that we expected from another source, and it's all just happening, Brian. It's a packed show, and it's your show.
That's right. It's my show. Happy to be indoors. Happy to be with you on this cold day. The cold weather stopped the drones. Did you hear about this happening up here?
What? I know the e-drones. Is that what people? I see e-drones people are talking about on the interwebs. Is that what that is?
No, that's something else. We had an issue. We've been having an issue. The snow kind of shut it down, at least for a night, it looked like. Where all of a sudden, all over the county, and in the county next door to ours, giant drones were popping up. No one knew who was controlling them. By one report on the news where they interviewed some guy, he said it was above my car. It was as big as my car.
What?
Now, most drones are not that big. Most commercial drones on sale to the public are not that big or have batteries that could last even.
Well, no, I was about to say, what kind of fucking 9-volt battery would it take to levitate a fucking car over a tree?
So the night this was all over the news, I go outside and there they fucking are. I see them now. And I'm like, fuck. And it's nighttime, so you can't really gauge just like how big everything is or how far up it is. But they're making turns that, it's not an airplane because there was no airport where it was coming from. And then all of a sudden it made a sharp turn. And it's interesting because Trump's golf course, where he spends a lot of time, is right over here. And there's also
he's over there now.
And there's also a military base not too far in the county here. So now they've restricted their airspace. But the FBI is asking the public
for any now
information. They don't know where these giant military-grade drones have come from.
Well, that's what first of all, now there was the operative word that I've noticed there. They've restricted their airspace. Like normally you could fly a fucking drone the size of a Honda Civic around over the military base.
See, I don't know what the rules are because it is kind of a new thing. Like we had a drone to look over the property just to see different things here. We weren't like flying miles away and zooming in and out and hovering over people's cars or whatever the fuck is happening. So it's pretty scary. No, it's pretty scary because the explanation from the government isn't there's nothing to see here. It's, if you guys know anything, please tell us.
What the fuck? Now, wait a minute. Who is in charge of drone monitoring and drone operations? Something that big, you would think there would need to be either a license required or potentially a select few places that you would obtain something like that.
Right.
So suddenly they're just flying around. Is it multiple ones, you say?
Oh, yeah, no, there were a couple of reports. And again, when you see the report and you're like, holy shit, that sounds incredible. And then like other people back it up, you're like, whoa.
Well, I mean, were they seeing like the same one in different places, or were they seeing
there was
different ones?
There was someone who was reported seeing 50 of them in a cluster.
What?
In a cluster, a giant cluster.
Wait a minute. God damn it. Hold on. What kind of Independence Day bullshit are you telling me now that this is not being broken into?
I'll look it up.
They need to be breaking into Dr. Phil or whoever with special news bulletins if there's 50 unknown drones the size of goddamn cars over New Jersey, and the government doesn't know about them?
I have a brand new story that just went up on the New York Post website. The headline, mystery drones flying over New Jersey kept helicopter from taking patient to hospital.
Jesus.
College says, and here's some video of, yeah, that's what I saw. The mysterious New Jersey drones being investigated by the FBI recently kept a medevac helicopter from transporting a seriously injured patient to the hospital, it emerged Thursday. The medical helicopter was flying to an accident in Branchburg Township in Somerset County on Tuesday last week, but was unable to pick up the crash victim due to the drones hovering in the landing zone. 2 security officers from Raritan Valley Community College closed roads to secure the crash site in preparation for the helicopter to land, but the request was canceled by the local fire captain just before 7 p.m. due to the hazardous presence of drones. Here's a quote. "We never found out what the actual drones were. It's kind of a mystery. We were asking around about that, but nobody knew anything." It comes after a flurry of other drone
Asking
sightings.
Around? Who do you fucking go to? Say, have you seen any giant automobile-sized drones lately?
Steve, is that yours? Is that yours? No? The drones have been spotted hovering in groups for hours in the vicinity of the Raritan River on a nightly basis of late. One Parsippany woman claims she saw up to 5 of the mysterious aircraft buzzing overhead Sunday.
Yeah, but she's from Parsippany.
It comes after a flurry of other drone sightings over the past 2 weeks in central New Jersey, not far from President-elect Donald Trump's Bedminster golf course. See, that's the other interesting thing. Knowing how he is, and knowing that he monitors the fucking news and everything, he knows this is happening. You gotta think he's like, holy shit, we gotta, what the fuck, how come no one has any answers to what these drones are?
Well, you would think that. You would think his mind would be blowing up, but if it's not, maybe he knows. Maybe he's the one who knows. Maybe he's got his own fucking Elon Musk funded space force trying to keep his whiny ass safe.
The Federal Aviation Administration has issued 2 temporary flight restrictions over Morris and Somerset County following multiple reports of unusual aircraft activity in the airspace over Trump National Golf Club Bedminster, as well as the U.S. Army hub, Picatinny Arsenal, in nearby Dover, New Jersey.
Wouldn't you think if it's a goddamn Army base that there's a drone up there? Is it ours? No, we'll go fucking get it. They'd have something that would go up there and there you are.
The FAA said it received reports as far back as November 18th. The FBI requested the restrictions out of an abundance of caution. An agency spokesperson said they remain in effect until December 26th.
Wait a minute, an abundance of caution? What would happen if a Delta fucking 747 or whatever model number they're flying these days would clip one of these things?
The FBI has also asked witnesses to send in high-resolution photos they've captured of the questionable flights, that's in quote, to their office for further review. It was unclear if the Branchburg patient was taken to the hospital by ambulance or by forgot all about him.
Flight's canceled, so we'll give you a voucher for a Days Inn, and they got a buffet for breakfast. No, is that in any way acceptable? It just
no. That's the thing. All of a sudden, in the last few days, the news has been covering it a little bit here. But then I didn't really see them last night with the bad weather. But this should be like a major, why the fuck are there mysterious drones that the FBI is asking for help identifying? That some are saying is the size of a car. And then clusters of 50 flying around the air. What the fuck? How come no one has shot one down? How come no one has set up their own drone to follow the drone?
That's what I was going to say. You better be fucking glad you're up in New Jersey's instead of if this was in goddamn Wartburg, Tennessee, you'd have a bunch of fucking hillbillies on a roof of a barn just taking wild shots at these things with their fucking rifles. And how high are they flying?
That's a hard answer to give because it's at night usually. They're only coming out typically.
Oh, they only come out at night.
So you can't tell.
It's Edgar Winter. He's responsible.
Sometimes it's hard to gauge how high they are.
Well, how
you
high?
almost think it's a plane at first. That's the thing. The first time I saw it, I thought it was a plane because in the distance I saw the lights coming. And then as I got closer, I'm like, that's no plane. And then I was like, you know what? Let me take a step into my garage and just peek my head out so I don't get blown up by whatever the fuck this is.
Well, if it's no plane and it's either a bird or Superman, one or the other, right? You've narrowed it down. But here's if you take a rifle and you shoot it straight up in the air, how far will the bullet go up before eventually it comes down?
I hope to find out by the time they let me out of prison for doing that.
Well, no,
take a rifle and start shooting into the air in this neighborhood.
That's what I'm saying. In some places in the South, you would be having groups of fucking people on the roofs of barns with their rifles trying to shoot that thing. And depending on how high that thing is and what it's made out of, and et cetera, you'd have a lot of bullets falling back to the ground at a slight angle, but a tremendous fucking velocity.
Well, now when Swami makes me walk him at night, which I resent him for, I go out there I got this industrial, powered flashlight. One night I was on Facebook just scrolling shit. I must have mentioned out loud how I need a new flashlight. The next ad I saw was for the super flashlight. I could see things miles away. I'm just going to shine it up on the thing. to get a little clarity, see if maybe
good. You can give them a tractor beam so the goddamn Venusians can suck you up and fucking put you in their zoo and breed you like a goddamn...
I just want to see if it says anything.
Brood mare.
Made in Secaucus. I don't know what it'll say. I just want to know. But yeah, that's I didn't know if you had seen it because it had been on the news up here, but I don't know how it's...
No, we were busy with our factories blowing up. We didn't have time for your space invasion.
I'm telling you, man, this is World War III. It's all happening.
The question is it from Earth? Is it terrestrial or non-terrestrial? That's what we got to find out about those drones. I had a drone in my backyard several years ago.
How big?
Well, I didn't see it even particularly up close, and I'll explain why, but I would estimate that it looked like it was about the size of a goddamn basketball or maybe a beach ball or something of that nature with all of its things spread out. But I was looking out in the backyard the other day, not the other day, this was years ago. I was looking out in the backyard, idly, minding my own business, and I swear to God, I know he did it. I saw him do it. It looked like to me out of the corner of my eye like a bird flew almost straight down from the sky and landed because I saw the thing hit the top of a tree and rustle the leaves. You know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah.
And just out of the corner of my eye, and I'm thinking, well, what the fuck did that bird die and just fall out of the sky? And it is, in the back, so I didn't think I wasn't going to walk over there to see if I could find a fucking bird. But then I looked out about 10 minutes later, and there's some guy walking around in my backyard. And that's when I walked out there, and I said, can I help you? And come to find out, he was from the subdivision way in the back that they put in. I believe he's a gentleman who works for the fire department. So it's wonderful. He can bring his hose over to my backyard anytime. But he said, well, my son and I believe, he said, we lost our drone. I said, wait a minute. I said, about 10 minutes ago, would it have just fallen out of the sky? He said, yeah. I said, come here, I'll show you the tree. And it's this old maple tree that grows at a real, like a, I don't know the degrees of angles, a 45-degree angle or whatever out of the ground, and then blah, blah, blah. And it was something that he could climb up the trunk and get on a limb and get in there because we saw it mired into the leaves. And he climbed my tree and got his drone. It got misdirected. So if
my story's better.
Well, I know your story's better, but this is some drone that some guy from the fire department was flying around in his backyard that wasn't even bigger than a beach ball, and he couldn't control it. And if it had fallen on somebody's head, it probably would have left a mark. So now that somebody is operating Toyota-sized fucking drones and this is a populated area. Well, except people don't want to live around you, but still.
It's just completely insane. There's no answers to any of this.
Well, okay, call the FAA.
What am I going to say to them?
You're going to say you're in charge of the air. That's why where the aviation comes in, and you're an administration and you're federal. So I want my airspace restricted over my house. I don't want any goddamn fucking things falling through my ceiling at night.
Every night I walk Swami and I have like Orson Welles narrating it in my head.
And it was New Jersey.
That's right. It was New Jersey.
What was the town? God damn it.
Oh, fuck. Hold on. Let me look up. War of the Worlds.
No, do it the honest way. Do it the honest way. It was... Oh, God damn it. I can just hear him saying it. But I can't come up with it. Because you've said Morristown, that's all I can think of. Because I used to live there also, and now I've got that stuck in my head.
No, see, I never would have gotten this. Grover's Mill, New Jersey.
Grover's Mill. I knew it was some, like as hick a sounding of a place as you can put it in New Jersey, right?
Where is this? Mercer County. I don't know where this is. But anyway, that's where apparently that's where the panic started.
Well, goddamn, can you imagine if the people of the 1930s had seen these drones over there? That would have goddamn been a real pisser, as Captain Lou would have said. All right, well, as long as you're just being monitored, they're not fully attacking yet. So should we do the program or what's going on?
Maybe they were coming at me trying to get my Jim Cornette action figures.
Well, that's because now pretty much the only chance for you to get an action figure at this point by Christmas, by the time you hear this, is to have an alien invasion bring it to your door. No, we are still open, ladies and gentlemen, at JimCornette.com. And I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But we are still open for business. But we got a mail, according to the people who keep track of these things at the post office. It's been announced we got a mail domestically by December 17th, unless we're overnighting things, which we're not, and we wouldn't charge you for that. And that means the feather bottom's got to put a label on it. That means it's got to be packed in a box, and that means I've got to already have signed it. So for God's sake, he's doing a final pickup. There's one more to go between now and then, but the final pickup before Christmas is Friday, December 13th. Well, what a date. In order for him to do the labels and everything that weekend and get it out the following Monday and Tuesday before the deadline. And, even if we don't come down your chimney for Christmas, we'd be more than happy to invade your home for a Happy New Year and some fine eggnog. So order now, but have low expectations the longer it gets into the month of December. Boy, what a sales pitch that was.
That's great.
I have signed So many goddamn, my shoulder is out. I think I'm going to have my AC joint replaced from autographing these, I think, 2,300 something. See, we're computerized now. I never used to be able to count it exactly. To whatever amount of individual items I've autographed over the last 6 weeks or whatever. So thank you one and all. Merry Christmas, and your shit's on the way because we're caught up. Thank you. You've been a wonderful audience.
JimCornette.com. Jim, real quick, it's a controversial thing right now on Twitter. Let me get your thoughts. Is Gremlins a Christmas classic?
It's been so long since I've seen that movie that I can see the gremlins in my head, and I couldn't tell you when that movie transpired or what individual parts of it were what. Just to kill that whole. I'll go back and forth with you on the Die Hard thing, but the Gremlins, I'm in the weeds.
That movie came out 40 years ago. When was the first time you would have seen it?
Probably the first time that it was on cable in a hotel.
All right. Well, the debate continues.
40 years ago would have been Christmas time of 1984. And as you'll recall, I'd gotten busy a year or two before that. And I didn't see a goddamn movie in a theater between, I'm going to say, I still had days off in 82 when I first got started. Between 1983 and, good God, 1990, I would have to go back and look at what movies were released to figure out if I ever saw a movie in a theater during that time period. Couple times the Midnight and I went to a movie just because we were in a fucking town early and no reason to check into a hotel for 3 hours. And I think that's about it.
What's it like being a heel going to a movie theater? Do you ever go by yourself, or you're always with, you just said the Midnight Express. Are you always with someone else, or what's it?
Well, no, I never went. For that period of time, during my tenure technically as a wrestling heel, I have been to movies, but especially during a day in the afternoon in a fucking theater, I better walk into this fucking theater with 8 people in it to see if Jim Cornette's one of them. They're not,
rock and roll had some dedicated teeny boppers,
Well, no, but that's the thing of the story I told, and I won't launch into that goddamn again, but going to the amusement park and accidentally running into the rock and roll and people seeing me, especially when the fucking Ferris wheel guy was stuck at the top. That was broad daylight in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I was on television more than the fucking mayor. So that was, I tried that once and never. I lived in a town with like 3 amusement parks for 5 years or 7 years, and I never went but once. But I couldn't then. But an afternoon movie in the dark, is probably one of the easier things for heels in those days to get away with.
All right, Jim. Well, there's no more time to waste since you have no gremlin thoughts. Let's get to the many topics and the many things happening as we are recording.
Some of these involve gremlins.
Well, let's start with WWE Raw, which I have to say may have been the best episode I've seen in as long as I can remember. There was a lot of stuff on this show that hooked me. It was really good.
Well, that's right. You were saying right before we went on the air, it was the best Raw since, and you couldn't remember when the since was. So, and again, 2 hours has made a difference, at least, and we've said this even when the show was boring, which over the past few weeks, I think 1 week we did say, fuck it, there's so little interesting, we didn't talk about it.
No, I usually tell you, let's please not do Raw, because it's not really that good, but this week it was phenomenal.
And remember then I'd said, I think it was last week or two, you think they're cooling this show off just so they can, which is a business strategy in the wrestling business, as we talked about when we mentioned that. If you can't be hot forever, you can't floor it, you can't go 100 miles an hour without slowing down for a curve, whatever. In the old days, the guys the promoters, the bookers would figure out a little way to pull it back without just stinking a joint out if they had a big show coming up so they could take another run at that hill and boom, 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 and peak things. Makes sense when you were doing this every week or every 2 weeks or every month in the same town year after year. I said, were they cooling Raw off to have the big Netflix, boom? But truthfully and honestly, that they've started promoting the big Netflix boom, but they throw a show like this in and everybody was going, wow. And they're still selling everything out. So even if they weren't going to have a Netflix boom, they have now created an atmosphere where they get the top guys to come out and talk to each other and do angles, and they fill it up with matches that mostly, And then every once in a while, when they do a show that everybody likes, it's like, wow. And it helps business, and they're still selling out, but they don't need to do it every week. It's the exact opposite of the company that is doing it every week to the point where they can't give tickets away in some places because they do it every fucking week all the time, and it's lost its meaning. So they were in Everett, Washington for Raw, which I understand is north of Seattle. I forgot to get my atlas out to see how far north it is. But the Angel of the Winds Arena sold out, the 64th sellout of the year, as Joe Pepitone had told us several times in the show. And by the way, how can you name something the Angel of the Winds Arena?
Well, Kenny Omega was the arena's creative director.
Oh, okay, hold on. There you go.
What was that?
That was
applause or something. What was that? A cash register?
Well, no, that was easy. That was easier. That was like a thumbs up. That's money,
Okay, now I know for the future. Now I know.
See that? Yeah, when you hit a money line, there you go. But the Angel of the Winds, it sounds like a Seals and Crofts sponsorship, But there's the 64 sellout of the year, and these people hit the lottery. They actually got to see one of the very few Raws, and all kinds of shit took place. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. They've gotten now to where every once in a while they could do a fucking show like this and coast on it. And the other guys are over there with public beheadings. So they did a Survivor Series package and then showed the people arriving as they have been doing it. And then when they got to Punk, the camera followed him as they've been doing it through the back, through Gorillo, and into Mussolini. It's clobbering time. See, you like it when I hit higher notes, is what you're saying.
I'm not saying that. I don't like any of it.
Well, you said the other day higher notes was more in my...
I said Michael Jackson was more in your range. I didn't say that I like any of whatever you do.
Wait a minute. Like Mussolini.
It's easier
the kid on the ear. Is not my son.
It's easier on the ear. That was Stan Lane's song, wasn't it?
No, that was the bitch is not my daughter. But what are you anyway? He got the big CM Punk chance. Did CM Punk as he came hurtling out of the chute? And he did the promo, because this is his first time really talk with it since he'd been back from the Hell in a Cell. And here's the update. He's settled with Drew. And he handled the business with his friend Paul Heyman. And now he knows what the future holds. And he, teased the verb as seeing the sign. Talking about the WrestleMania sign that is not hanging up yet. But he talked about the different roads and the different ways that you could go to finish your story. And the people are with this. And when he's finished the story, they know what's going on. And he said, I could choose the Royal Rumble or the Elimination Chamber. I've got a favor or two in my pocket to help me out if I need it politically, I think he said. And then suddenly, boom, Seth Franklin Rollins music interrupts. And of course, so what now Punk's natural goal after he's done these things would be to main event WrestleMania. That's what he's teasing. But then suddenly here comes the guy that just cannot get over a grudge with people, certain people. And I like that even when he came out, when Seth came out in the shiny pleather suit, he was not the joking, the innovator, the duplicator, the masturbator. He was serious. He don't like this fucking guy. So they're knowing when to. The fans were still singing the whoa. See, that's not my note. But they yes.
I was just going to say, as you said, what the fans are doing, it was interesting that the fans took more with Punk than Rollins.
Well, yes, because, and that's the thing, is that they sang whoa, 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 and the Punk and Rollins milked it, but then they had the CM Punk chants after that, and they milked that. Because this first segment was like 20-something fucking minutes, and it didn't get long. It didn't get old. And the thing is, when Seth starts out with the, I should have knocked your ass out the day you came back. But I had pity for you after Hell in a Cell. I didn't take my shot then. And after Saturday, it's time to rectify my mistakes. And he's starting to take his jacket off and everything. He says, the only thing between us is air and hatred, and tonight's the night that I knock you on your ass. And the people like Punk, they want Seth, philosophically, psychologically, however you say it, they want Seth to get with the program. He's a baby face. He's helped the baby faces, right? And they still like Seth, but at the same time, they like Punk. And since Seth is the one not getting with the program, it's subtle, but it's there. And just the way that they are verbalizing these things. And that's why this is so fucking good. Because somebody's put a lot of thought into all of this. And Punk's, attitude is like, you talk too much and you don't listen. I put personal stuff in the past. You have nothing I want. You're not a champion. I know what my future is, and kid, you ain't in it. And you thought about me for 6 months, and I don't think about you at all. That got a pop. And so he said, I've got things to do in this business, so stay out of my business. It's just subtle that Seth is still, going to this length, right? He's holding this grudge. And Seth, you talk too much and don't listen enough. This is my business. And he shoves Punk on his ass. And then Punk gets up, oh, motherfucker, and he locks up with Seth. And here then takes him down. Here they go. And here comes Sammy and Jay in to separate them because they've got an interest in these people. And by that point, the crowd is just let them fight, because they want to see the fucking fight. They have been wanting to see this match. This could potentially be a WrestleMania main event, co-main event, however they're going to structure this thing. But anyway, Pierce came out and he's trying to, calm Punk down, and Seth is on a microphone, and Punk reaches in, tries to pull him out. They've got the agents and everything going on. And then and Jay is out there trying to take Punk back, and Seth tells Jay, yeah, go ahead. Run along to Roman. So we're about to get to the second act, but you got to react to what has gone on so far.
I thought Punk's promo was good. It was going somewhere. You were waiting to see where it went, and then it got interrupted, and then the direction that went in was great. He used that great Don Draper line from Mad Men, I never think about you at all.
Yeah.
And that interaction with him and Rollins was great. Rollins seething and Punk fucking with his head. And then when they went at it, it was a little thing that you never see when they finally went at it. Punk threw a few shots, clearly trying to hit the air, which he did.
Yeah.
But it looked good because you never see someone go and throw punches. Rollins may have got him on the nose. I don't know. but Punk was throwing shots at the air for like a half a second before he went down. That was great. And again, this had gone on a while. Still wanted it to go on. It was not over. And it was a great opening segment. And then Act 2, like you said, they got Punk out of there, and somehow the story got even more intriguing.
So then, since Jay went with Punk, trying to get him out of there, Sammy is in the ring with Seth, trying to get him calmed down. And then as soon as Seth has said to Jay, who's already in the aisleway with Punk and Pierce and all those folks, yeah, run along to Roman. Then Sammy bows up at Seth and says, hey, I'm, all due respect, whatever, you don't get to talk to Jey Uso that way.
What was that line?
Well,
don't talk to my girlfriend like that. I mean, that's one thing, but you don't get to talk to Jey Uso that way?
Well, but it got an ooh from the audience, so maybe they've had to say that a number of times. I don't know. But
I am his protector. You better not say that. What the fuck? So it
was Sammy that was Lasertron, protector of the children all along.
Yeah, like you said, it worked, but it's kind of a silly line when you really think about it.
Yes, I would think you need to show Jey Uso a little more respect or something, maybe. But the point was that you don't get to talk to Jay that way. And said that, I'm sorry, my bad. Jay's family, he's part of the family there. But what's your excuse, Sammy? And the crowd starts chanting, Sammy Uso, Sammy Uso. So again, Seth is being the more confrontation, the more grudgeful person with poor old Sammy, who just wants everybody to get along and have peace on earth and give me love, give me love, give me peace on earth, that type of thing. So Seth is supposed to be the cactus in this fucking arrangement. And Seth says, you and I are closer than them. We were family too. You stabbed me in the back. With CM Punk teaming up. The whole thing is he's mad because everybody's teamed with Roman and everybody's teamed with Punk. And Sammy came back, and this was perfect because Sammy could say, I didn't want him. I wanted you. I asked you twice and you said no. And Seth said, well, what did you want me to do? You wanted me to help the monster, Roman Reigns. After all I'd done and all he'd done to me and all I'd done to try to get rid of him. And Sammy's, you created the monster 10 years ago with the chair shot. So talk about long-term booking. And Seth fired up. And he ended up with, you did the same damn thing. He was being serious and not the, as we mentioned, the flamboyant or whatever. But you hit him with a fucking chair too. We all did all of this to take down the bloodline. And Roman hasn't changed or apologized. And you're teaming with him. You're gullible and you're stupid. I mean, this is great. It's not some contrived bullshit about the time that you blew me up with a hand grenade in the exploding ring match in the parking lot in fucking Nagoya. It's simple shit that makes sense, that they have left these points along the way that they can back up with video to tell these fucking stories.
Yeah, see, that's what it is. Everything references things that if you're a fan, you remember or could easily find out about.
Yes. And they're saying the things that they would say if some of them were as articulate in real life. But all these guys are great on the promos. But they're telling the story and then they're fighting about what the story is. And everybody's got a fucking gripe. And so Sammy says, well, you want to blow some steam off? I'll take you on tonight. And Seth agreed to it. And we were 25 minutes into the show without taking a commercial break, with all of these people having come out to talk to us, and it wasn't old at all. It could have kept on going. They could have sent somebody else out there. Well, I mean, they did send somebody else out, but I mean to talk to us.
That was the best opening segment on Raw in a long time. There was one a few weeks ago I liked. Remember with Liv Morgan and Dominic in the stands going at it with Rhea and Priest? I thought that was...
Boy, now I'd like to see the home video of that. Liv and Dominic in the stands going at it with.
Well, too bad your friend Bonnie Lee Bakley's not around to support.
Well, you know, Bonnie could track down the hard to find stuff.
But this was a fantastic segment. Every single person that was on the mic delivered. Sammy was perfect. Rollins was perfect. Punk was perfect. Jey Uso was out there, and then he got called out. You never saw him again. Yeah. I don't know where he went. I guess he carried Punk away or helped push him.
Well,
away.
he did help, usher Punk to a safer location.
Even the timing when Rollins and Punk went at it, the timing of when Sammy and Jey hit the ring and then when Pierce and the officials hit the ring, everything was done perfect. This was great.
And that's another thing is
there's so much stuff still left. You're still left with Punk and Rollins hanging above all of this.
Yes. And to your point about, you know, people came out in escalating orders of importance and or et cetera, instead of just sending 20 security guys, let's everybody take a big bump or what it looked more real and or chaotic and or just people trying to get in the middle of something. So, 25% of the show was that. That's the same length as even longer than a 30-minute sitcom or television program with commercials, and they took up the whole amount of time, and it was excellent.
And there wasn't just dead silence from the fans. The fans were invested in this long talking segment with action. It was perfect.
Yes, well, and they were part of it actually also because they were chanting and singing and saying all the right things in the right places and oohing and eyeing. They were the studio audience. Almost for them now is a laugh track. It's almost like it's pre-recorded. They know what to. Well, most of them, they're still the carrying crosses of the world, but most of them can get a reaction of what to what they're doing. Is they don't even have to pipe it in anymore. Anyway, but speaking of that, of piping things in, they had, I don't know why I did that segue.
Very interesting transition there, yeah.
Well, they piped in the Damage Control against Liv Morgan and Rochelle match. And I wasn't going to watch that, but boy, after the finish, when the heels won, here came Rhea Ripley, and I had to stop and pay attention. And she and Rochelle had a big fight, and finally Rhea got a chance to run Liv into the post, but Rochelle ran Rhea's face into the desk, and then here came some more referees and security. And the people start chanting, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy."
It's like a daycare center.
Well, actually, it's more like the cry for attention from Mommy, Mommy, Mama, Mama, Mom, Mom. Oh, I forgot you're not a Stewie Griffin aficionado.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You know what? I know you're not a big fan and you may at times put her down, even though you've actually given her some good reviews too. I'm an Io Sky fan. I think Io Sky's really good.
Stacy likes Io Sky.
Because Stacy's smart.
Well, now, see, I can't
say anything, can you?
I can't really dispute anything about that, or elsewise it would cause me even more consternation.
I found your kryptonite. I'm just going to say your wife agrees with me on all these things you have a problem with.
Well, now, goddamn. Some of these things she may not be in accordance with you on, but the thing, I'm sorry. They're minute, diminutive, and bleh. But nevertheless, they're into Rhea Ripley. But they keep trying to bash her face in after apparently they did it for real.
Raquel is what Camille should have been.
But there you go. I mean, it's the big, the muscle, the hired, not hired killer, but the bodyguard, the hired muscle. And that way, little Liv can talk big because she's got the big girl backing her up. That could have been the same thing with little fucking Mercedes moaning. But I don't know what the fuck they did there.
All right, well, let's continue on with the best Raw in a very long time.
Well, it doesn't make it sound like it as we've been going on here, but nevertheless, Gunther is in the back, and boy, howdy, there's going to be a fantastic match coming up shortly, and I'm not being sarcastic. One of my favorite things of the night, but they had Finn come in and interrupt Gunther as he was trying to speak, and Dom is there. And Finn's deal is Gunther owes him a title match. Because instead of kicking him in the face like he did at the Survivor Series, he ought to be thanking him because he helped him win. And Gunther said, I didn't want your help, and you don't deserve a title match. And he looked at Dom, and I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but it was mostly like, this little weasel deserves a match better than you do. And so Gunther says, I'm going to go talk to Pierce. And because I've got a little pull around here. And the whole thing of Finn is upset. He got beat by Priest, at least Dominic, before when they did that angle, had beaten Priest, blah, blah, blah. So later on, we're going to get Gunther or we should just go ahead and talk about Gunther and Dom, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's
in the same flow of things, because we've got a long time to get there. The match was fucking perfect. And this, again, it's two heels, but they have been kind of painting Gunther in somewhat of a more straight-laced category in terms of he doesn't want Kaiser to help him. He doesn't need other people's help. He's somewhat of a sympathetic heel, if that makes any sense. Whereas they really don't like Dom. But at the same point, this match was so good, at one point, they were just thinking Dominic was going to fucking win, and they wanted to see it because Gunther's still a heel after all. So, I mean, this shit was great. And they worked the match perfectly, as I've talked about before, when you have to work with a guy not based on what he can do, but based on what he should do, what his gimmick, his character is supposed to do. Gunther's manhandled everybody, and the chop levels everybody. And he's so big and powerful. That's his gimmick. Dominic is a weaselly chicken shit and a kind of a coward, but he, at the same time, he can do shit, especially when he gets an unfair advantage. So he cheats. And this was perfect for that. Dominic got offense all over the place, but it was all set up. I'm pretty sure Gunther was calling this, but it was set up to where that Dominic would take over back, like when Gunther went to powerbomb him, Dominic set back and Hurricane Rond Gunther head first into the ring post and hit him with a quick drop kick and then a dive, but then Gunther just took over on him and beat the fuck out of him and toyed with him and chopped the shit out of him. And then he would get a sleeper, but Dominic would mule kick him in the nuts and give him a 619 to the nuts. And then I think a 619 to the head and then a splash off the top rope. And when he got the 2 count, there was a big pop and the fans were chanting, "Dirty Dom, Dirty Dom." They were working this thing perfectly. And then right after that, Gunther hit him with a chop, a big boot, and a power bomb and pinned him 1, 2, 3 and got another big pop. But that was before we even talk about the little skirmish after the fact. This is, if anybody wants to know what I'm talking about when I say, I'm sure that Dominic, if Gunther wanted him to vertical suplex him 17 times in a row, could do it. But it doesn't make sense. So if anybody wants to know what I'm talking about of working with a guy the way that he's supposed to be perceived and not do anything stupid on either side, this is it. I don't know. What did you think? Am I too easily pleased these days?
No, this was really good. The fans are really into it. I guess my only thing is you pointed out the fans chanting Dirty Dom and being behind him. I brought it up, I think, last week during a review. And I was getting that feeling a little bit here, especially backstage confronting the entire Judgment Day, who are a heel stable. Gunther. I mean, I thought they were setting it up for Gunther to get babyface reactions.
Well, but here's the thing. He got one when he won the match. But their match was so good because on the surface of it, you know, people would think, okay, it's a TV match with Gunther and Dominic, and he's going to beat Dominic up because fuck Dominic. Dominic's a puss or what. You're right. But they got him into the goddamn thing to where they thought they were going to see an upset. They thought that Dominic was going to beat Gunther for the world title, and they were going to get to see it in person because all this other wild shit's going on. So that they were getting behind. And then when Gunther beat him and brought him back to reality, they cheered for him because he's so fucking good. So it was really great. Everybody looked better than they did going in because Dominic got that offense on this guy, so you can take him a little more seriously, but still, it's fucking Gunther, and we were brought back to reality. And then Finn came in and leveled Gunther and hit a double stomp off the top, and then told Dominic, "Watch and learn, kid." See it with that accent, just like that. And hit another one, and then a third one, and laid the belt over Gunther. But now, because of the Bronson Reed precedent, the fans were chanting one more time, because they just want to see it. At this point, they just want to see every goddamn thing. So everybody here, because they're really all heels, at one point or another, they're cheering for everybody because they're doing shit that they like to see. But over a longer period of time, Gunther is I don't know if they're going to turn him babyface or just they're playing with this now that there's such levels to this. He'll be a heel, but a more honorable heel, and there may be something go on with him and Kaiser. But anyway, nevertheless, that was fun. So now they're talking good and working good. Holy shit, on the same show even. And it's not over yet.
Yeah, I'm just going to throw a question at you. Don't answer it now. Answer it at the end. What got into them this week? Because it's such a... The pacing of the show was good. Again, 2 hours, I know, but the amount of things that happen with people you care about, something happened with people I typically don't care about, and it pulled me completely in. Like, what got into them this week with this show?
Well, it's about time. Because in 4 weeks, they're going to Netflix, and not only do they have the Saturday night's main event in December that they're adding things to here, but also coming up on Royal Rumble, which is in a stadium, right? Again, another stadium. So this is about the time to start revving things up a little bit. So that's why I'm wondering. I was thinking it might be for Netflix, but maybe is it just they slowed things down for a few weeks so they could rev back up about this time. And they got John Cena coming back. So I think that they just got a fucking wild hair up their ass to start this week. But anyway, they also had an Intercontinental title tournament, 3-way women's blah, blah, Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Katana Chance, and they didn't have a chance that I was going to watch that. But then the New Day, they did a package because it was the 10th anniversary of the New Day, the formation of the team. And so they did a history package, video package on them with Kofi and Xavier and Big E and the trombones and the cereal and the bootios and the bootians and Kofi was when he won the title, Kofi was the champion and Big E was the champion and Xavier was king of the ring. It didn't say anything about Odyssey. Where do you think Odyssey was?
That's a good question.
Somebody ought to go out on an Odyssey and look for him.
He's almost like a figment of your imagination. He was there, but was he really? He was there and then he was gone. Did he really exist?
Yeah, because Big E could come out. Hey, who's that big fucking guy you were talking about a few months ago? Now, anyway, I never got the trombones and the cereal and I think each of the guys in their own way individually were good, especially Woods to me were good workers, but the outfits and the trombones and the cereal and etc. was always so silly. And it had already been established by the time that you and I started watching this programming again. So, but I never got it. It's like what Dennis Miller said about the reunification of East and West Germany. I didn't like their previous work, and I'm not sure I want to see the new stuff, right? As a tag team or people with trombones, I didn't want to see these people. But by the time they finish the next 15 minutes, I want to see these fucking people. As long as they drop the trombones and the fucking cereal. This was great. I couldn't believe that. Could you believe this was great, what we're about to talk about?
This is the best thing I've ever seen with the New Day ever. It said that it's their breakup. It was the best thing I've ever seen them do, and everyone did a great job, but the facial reactions from Big E,
yes,
as this was happening, were the most believable reactions of someone who is disappointed, crushed, whatever you want to say. This segment was astounding. Best thing any of them have ever done. Incredible.
And I mean, you know that they had, because everything that they said made sense and was complicated, and you had to remember the history and the stuff. So they had to really put a lot of work in it because they did great. But for the folks who didn't see it, they had the ring set up and the balloons and belts and big blown up pictures on tripods and cereal in the ring. The WWE treatment, yes, but the 10th anniversary of the New Day. And they're the most decorated tag team in WWE history, which again, but then they've been there for 10 years in the days of top tag teams all over the business. Nobody stayed in one company and won the belts 12 times unless it was a smaller territory. But nevertheless.
And by the way, Demolition not just had tag titles, but they literally decorated their face. So you could say they're the most decorated tag team of all time.
You're just a Demolition fan and you're reaching now.
You just hate Demolition.
I don't hate Demolition. As Barry Darsow, I've loved him, known him since.
You like the people.
Louisiana. And I'm being honest when, yes, it was Vince's answer to the Road Warriors. And it was they were the Fantastics to the Rock and Roll Express. How's that?
You know, some say it's Vince's reaction to the Road Warriors. Other people say it's Randy Colley's reaction to the Road Warriors.
Well, it could be that also. But anyway, so Pierce congratulated him and the fans chanted for him. And was it ever explained in years gone by why Woods holds the microphone like that? It's very off. I can't look away.
I don't know an explanation, no.
I don't know. But so Woods was humble and said thank you to all the fans, and Kofi did the same. And remember last week, they got in an argument. They just told each other what the fuck was wrong with each other and how they needed to modify their behavior. And as you'll recall when we talked about it, I said it sounded like they both had a bit of a point, right? It sounded irreconcilable. And so they've got the somber faces, and Woods says, what we're about to tell you fans is not your fault. And Kofi said that, well, Woods and I have talked, and we feel that when it comes to the New Day going forward, they're going to announce their fucking breakup, right? Suddenly, Big E's music plays, and he gets a big pop because he hadn't been around. Did they say it's been 4 years since he hurt his neck?
I believe they said that, but he is around. He's on like the pregame show and the postgame show for the pay-per-views on Peacock.
Well, yeah, but all right, Mr. Goddamn Randy McNally with all the minute details. He hadn't been around on Raw or SmackDown. He hadn't been part of their team. The story that they told, the announcers told, was that he is on the pregame show, but he hasn't been on Raw or SmackDown. And I believe they said 4 years. Maybe, are they exaggerating? Is where I was going. But you have to correct me on everything. But anyway, he hadn't been around in a while there with them in that way. And he gets in the ring, like you said, he was great. And he's like trying to be, the friend that's in the middle and the peacemaker. He gets on both of them for saying hurtful things to each other. Because all we had when we started was each other. And he did the emotional promo about all that they'd been through together when they came to his bedside in the hospital, and when the other guy did this and did that, and our children, and think of the children. God damn, think of the children. And so it was good. He was good, and he said, but here's the thing. You guys, after all we've been through together, Kane, it's not going to end this way. Until I'm medically cleared to return to the ring, I'm going to be here to remind you who you guys are. I'm going to be here to cheer you on, to uplift you, to give you spirit. I'm going to serve as your manager. Just every night I'll be with you.
And the fans popped.
And they started chanting, E, 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 E. It was almost like Ishii had switched sides. And then they chanted, New Day rocks, New Day rocks. And Big E's like, yeah. We're all excited. And I knew something was up when both Kofi and Woods had the stone faces. And I'll be a son of a gun, wouldn't you know who won the pony? They have swerved us because all this time we've been waiting for Woods to turn on Kofi, and Woods was going to be the heel. And Woods was being the prick, and Woods wouldn't get over stuff. And they've swerved us. They're both on the same side. And they used Big E, and this was perfect because Woods said, now you want to come back after we've been arguing with each other for months. You want to come back now? You left us to begin with. And Big E said, I broke my neck. And Kofi's, you broke your neck, so what? Stone Cold broke his neck. Angle broke his neck. Edge, they all broke their necks, and they came back. They were blaming Big E. This was fucking great.
And he was selling it in his face.
Yes.
Like you would almost, I don't even know how to describe it, but you would see, he would almost like mumble to himself.
Yes.
Like something he like, whoa, you could tell. What? It was perfect.
Humming. And Kofi said, you never even had surgery. You couldn't come back. You never had surgery. And Big E starts apologizing. Well, I did the therapy. And it's now please. And Kofi said, you chose your new life over us. And, your new desk job. I don't know. I guess because he's at the announce desk. And your new girlfriend. I don't know if that was necessary to bring that in. People may take that any way you might.
That got a reaction from the fans when they.
Well, they were kind of like, ooh, that's personal. Yeah. Who is his? Is his girlfriend someone we should know, or
we've never heard a single thing about him having a girlfriend or who it is. So that was just them throwing something out there to make it more believable.
Oh, I thought you meant so you were thinking he was gay because you never heard about him
That's not
having a
what I
girlfriend.
said. I don't know what the hell.
See, you never heard about him having a girlfriend,
I don't
so
ask around, but hey, so who's Big E fucking this week? I don't do
well, yeah, a guy named Big E, you might better keep an eye on that. That might be worth knowing.
Well, if he was Big D, maybe it'd be worth knowing. But Big E, I don't know.
Well, you know what?
Why are we doing this?
E follows D, and vitamin E.
This is a serious segment we're talking.
Vitamin E will help the D. But so anyway, Kofi said you chose all this stuff over us, and Woods says, "Do you realize the burden that you've become to us? We miss you, but you don't miss us, and you're never going to be cleared. So get the hell out of the ring and back to your desk where you belong." And again, his lip is quivering, and his eyes are just puddling up, and he's off microphone. He's not even speaking on a microphone. He's standing there and he's looking like he don't know whether to go or to stay. And then he's talking, and you can hear it because the camera microphone is picking it up. I'm not going to let you throw this away like that. I'm not going to let you throw this away like that. His arms are out. He wants a hug, and Kofi stiff arms him. And he said, "No, he can't. No, you can't." And he gets out of the ring heartbroken. They're putting up all kinds of argument about this, which made it, all the better. And as he's moping off, Woods and fucking Kofi shake hands with each other. And it's like, yeah, we've always got Buenos Aires or whatever the fuck. And so did anybody suspect that was coming in that fashion?
Not in that fashion, no. I guess the next question is, where do they go from here? The heel, I don't know if you call them the New Day, but the heel Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston team could be interesting. Who they working with? Is Big E coming back? And if not, is he going to be the manager for someone else? Where are they going to go with it? Like, there has to be a match with someone.
Well, here's the thing. Because remember I said when Odyssey was involved, and it looked like Woods was turning on both of them because he wasn't happy about Kofi liking the big man or whatever. I was thinking, well, goddamn, Woods better get mad or get glad, one or the other, because what's he going to do about it? If he turns that he's got this 400-pound guy and his partner, and he needs some help, who would that be? So maybe now that they were building to doing this type of turn, and now that I'm talking it through, it sounds plausible. They were building toward doing this type of turn with Odyssey Jones, where they would both turn as a team on him in this kind of fashion. And since he didn't work out, they said, well, let's do it with Big E. E does not have to be returning now, or to be E was the straw that stirred this, in terms of he had the most history with them. If they had to come up with a plan B, and they noticed that, well, now in just a couple months it'll be 10 years, and Big E doesn't have to wrestle, we can just turn these guys heel because we want them to be a heel team. Then E was what the device that was used to make sure the people know they're heels. And then they could shoot some kind of angle with a tag team. And I don't think that, I think we would have heard about it if E was going to be cleared anytime in the near future. So I think this would, because how can you not be a heel when you're turning on your former partner that broke his neck and people know it for real?
Yeah, I guess we're also got to see what happens next. I mean, it's not like they put hands on him other than like pushing him away. They didn't hit him. That'd be a major heel move that would get some heat.
Well, and it also might be a move that can get some legal support in court if anything happened to him. And he sued TKO for $7 billion.
Well, we'll see where they go. But while we're going through this Raw, let's wrap it all up. Let's get to everything else here.
Well, yes, because now we got to go back ahead past Gunther and Dominic, and we get to the main event after R-Truth beats Butch. And less said about that, the better.
And now the fans are all chanting Butch at him like a taunt.
And I still say something is the matter with the shape of his face. It's put together like a ransom note. I don't know what's going on.
I still say this man.
Well, I maintain that this individual has an oddly contoured face. And you argue with me, at least chastise me for saying it every time I bring it up. But anyway, Seth and Sammy was the main event. And, and by the way, Finn and Gunther has been added to the Saturday night's main event extravaganza. But Seth and Sammy, and again, you want to see what's going to go on, because is Seth going to turn full-fledged heel and pull out a goddamn Roto-Rooter and disembowel Sammy, or is something else going to happen with them? But what's going to go on, right? At least you're interested. So it's two baby faces. And again, they get us there, and then they do an open where they pie face each other a couple times and do a big running spot, and they go to the break in 30 seconds. So they come back with 7 minutes on the air. So this is just an angle to get to the next chapter. But the fans were behind Sammy because he's the likable, sympathetic one in this situation. Even though if Seth was to turn around and do something to somebody they don't like, they'd be just as happy about it as they ever were. And finally, boom, boom, Sammy had hit a blue thunder bomb and got a 2 count and ran for the big kick, but Seth came out with the super kick, but missed a curb stomp. And Sammy rolled out to the floor, and Seth came out and tried to reason with him. Look, I don't want this fight. It's over Roman. And Sammy, and we forgot to say this, because right before the goddamn break that this came up, they found Jey Uso had been beaten up and attacked and whatever else had happened to him in the back. It's so dangerous back there.
And that was done really well, too. I forget who Jackie Redmond was even talking to. She was interviewing someone.
It was Butch.
And then agents started running by, and she just goes, go, go, go. And they ran with the agents, the cameraman, to see Jey Uso down.
Yes, but see, that would be great if we had not seen it on every television program from both companies for the last 3 years or so. I would love stuff like that if you didn't see it about 16 times a fucking week. How many times does AEW have somebody get potatoed in the fucking backstage area on every television show, and they got 3 shows a week?
However many times they show the backstage area.
Well, Larry, so anyway, but Sammy's thinking that it was Seth. And Sammy is screaming, I know it was you. And Sammy slaps Seth in the face. And so Seth's a motherfucker. And he runs Sammy into the post twice and then throws him into the timekeeper's pit. Is that what we should call it? They've got their own separated off area that wrestlers can be thrown into that without anybody being sued?
It's the timekeeper's corner.
I prefer pit.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for the timekeeper's corner with whoever this faceless timekeeper is.
Anyway, so Seth comes out, or Sammy rather, came out of it with a big kick on Seth and then ran Seth into the post. The fans are chanting, Sammy Uso. As Seth rolls in the ring and Sammy's he's got a chair. Then he's going to beat the shit out of Seth, and Sammy's, I know it was you. And now Seth is, what are you talking about? You attacked Jey. Me? It wasn't me. I wouldn't do that. Did you ask Punk if it was him? And now Sammy, he's conflicted. He throws the chair out and turns to go back to Seth, and Seth small packaged him 1, 2, 3. And when they sit up and Seth tells Sammy, I love your heart, but you better start using your head. And he gets out of the fucking ring and leaves. And there's Sammy. He's always too nice. He's like the current Mick Foley. He's just too nice. And it worked against him. And as he's standing there confused over the happenings of what has happened, a guy in a hoodie gets in the ring and hits him with a fucking Claymore kick and unhoods himself and stands there, and it's Drew fucking McIntyre. Holy shit, he's back. So and we're off the air. What a show. What a show.
And we're assuming he's the one who attacked Jey Uso. What if he comes out next week and does a promo and says, I'm not the one who attacked Jey Uso. That'll lead to more. But no, this was really good and good match. I liked the finish, the way it happened. You know, he told Sammy the thing, rattled him and got him. And now we got McIntyre, who we kind of forgot about in just a month or whatever it was. Back in the main event picture. Is Sammy and McIntyre and Jey Uso going to play out here on Raw or on SmackDown? Because they're all on SmackDown as part of the big bloodline thing right now, aren't they?
Well, God, they're here too. They're over here now. I think they can be. This company is setting gate records and viewing records on the Peacock, and stadium shows are coming up, and they've got Netflix coming up, and all these stars. I think, and also, didn't they split the rosters because Fox and USA could be sold as having different talent on their programs? That dichotomy of relationships is coming to an end. Can't anybody just be on anything? But one way or another, boom, they were there.
We shall find out. That was WWE Raw. Again, a great episode. Go out of your way to see the things that happen here. But Jim.
Yes.
Seeing the wrestlers on this show, everyone looks like they're in good shape. You kind of have to be. It's a cosmetic injury. It's a cosmetic industry. You may need to make sure you consume the right things, and everyone needs protein.
Well, you know what? It's what you put in your body, Brian. It's the fuel that an athlete puts in his body, or that anybody puts in their body. It's fuel. It's what you run on. If you put old sludge in your carburetor, why then your thermostat's going to blow completely off of the O-ring, right?
I have no idea.
Well, there you see, you don't know anything about cars, but the point is, folks, if you put the wrong things in your body, your fucking thermostat won't line up correctly with your O-ring, and you'll blow your sphincter out. But we, fortunately, here at the program have been talking about for some time now the delicious and wonderful 30-gram protein shakes coming to us from the people over at Orgain. I say they taste like a chocolate milkshake, but then that sounds like it's just horrible for you and not something that someone that wants to take care of their body would drink. But it's delicious, but it's only got 1 gram of sugar, but it's got 30 grams of protein. So right there, that protein, 30 grams of it, they're going to kick the shit out of that 1 gram of sugar. And once that you've had a gram of sugar kicked the shit out of, a lot of grams of sugar won't come back to that neighborhood. So you can't dispute those facts, can you, Brian?
There's so much to dispute that it's hard to even narrow down what to dispute. All we could say is protein is for you, and Orgain has delicious chocolatey protein. I had one this morning when I drove my daughter to high school, and I think whether you are driving your kids in traffic or working out, you got to feed your body and feed your muscles protein.
Yeah, feed your muscles. Well, if you're driving your kids in traffic, you need a good 16 or 24 ounce glass bottle that you can sidearm fling out the fucking window at some asshole that cut you off. But these come in a wonderful carton that is sealable and opens right up, and you can put the cap back on it so you can save some of the healthy goodness until later on. But 30 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, made with no artificial flavors or sweeteners or soy ingredients to help you maintain a healthy lifestyle, manage hunger. It's convenient protein-packed nutrition on the go that satisfies cravings without all the sugar. See, I have cravings, Brian. I have a sugar on my back. And I love the sweet stuff, but I got sugar on my back as opposed to a monkey.
Oh, is that what Kota Ibushi had on his back?
Well, no, I think he had a goddamn giant Mount Vesuvius pimple. But nevertheless, if you got the sugar shack on your back, then you need to cut down on your sugar, boost up on your protein, and you can do things like that with Orgain. And right now, folks, again, all you got to do is go to Orgain, ORGAIN.com to find out. They've got all the information there, Orgain.com. They're available in all of the deliciousness and flavors. And if you go to Orgain.com/JCE and use the code JCE, you're going to get 20% off your order. So it's like out of every 10 shakes you order, you're getting 2 for free, right? I did the math right there, didn't I, Brian?
One of the great things about Orgain, no math needed, just chocolatey protein goodness.
Well, I'm just talking about how much money the people are saving. So if you order 100 chocolate shakes of the goodness, then you'll get like 20 for free. And if you order 1,000, you'll get 200. You're going to put them out of business. And then actually, if you ordered with this kind of discount, if you wanted to order 10,000 and then resell them on a street corner out of your trunk of your car, because you could mark them up 20%, and plus you could even mark them up more because you're right in front of these people with the trunk of your car. So Orgain.com/JCE, use the code JCE for 20% off your order of Orgain and start your own cottage industry with only 1 gram of sugar and 30 grams of protein.
Once again, Orgain. Orgain is for you. Get one today. I endorse them. They are fantastic. Orgain, one more time, what's that promo code, Jim?
Of course, again, there are state regulations against doing what I just advised people to do, so they could probably technically be arrested. But
state and federal, let's be clear.
Well, and especially if you cross state lines over the course of a metropolitan area. But I think some people be sneaky enough they might be able to get away with it. Orgain.com/JCE, 20% off. The promo code, again, is JCE.
Well, you know what that means, Jim. It's time that we move on.
Yeah, from that music.
Well, there's a lot of big things happening, and I know that you are kind of out of touch with. I don't mean you're out of touch. I mean you choose to not.
Oh, you're jumping on everybody else's bandwagon.
You choose to not be active on social media so that you're not really up to date on everything.
I've been signing a lot of action figures, and I haven't had time to peruse all of the news on the interwebs, and I'm not going to your Sky Blue thing. You can have her ass all to yourself.
It's Blue Sky. Let's not be.
And I don't want to learn anything else. The last thing I want to do is learn. You know, when you start learning, you die, I've heard.
This is a great start. Yeah, this is, where'd you hear that?
Yeah, well, it's some saying like that. As soon as I heard the word death, I didn't want to go any further with it. So I'm just staying away from all the learning.
All right, this has been the Drive Thru, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
No, but let's talk about some of the things happening. And I have a press release here from TNA.
Oh, it wasn't a release, it escaped.
Rebellion pay-per-view will be in Los Angeles. Slammiversary is in New York City. More than 1 million votes were cast in the unprecedented online destination selection offered to TNA wrestling fans.
Wait a minute, no shit. The 2 biggest cities in the country won?
Yet, there was no overwhelming winner.
What?
New York City, or Los Angeles.
That means only 17 people voted for one and 15 for the other. Is that what that means?
So, TNA Wrestling confirmed today that it will have a major live event in 2025 in both cities. The Rebellion pay-per-view will be Sunday, April 27th, originating from the Gallon Center on the campus of the University of Southern California, U.S.
Wait a minute, though. How do you spell that?
Galen.
Okay, that would be more Galen Center than Gallon Center, like a gallon of milk. Well, isn't that how you say it in New Jersey, a gallon of milk?
Well, we say it like that, yeah, when we go to Dairy Barn or whatever the hell you're talking about, yeah.
Dairy Barn, or we'll get you a gallon of ice cream over to Dairy Barn. Has anybody ever heard of that place before?
The Gallon Center, or whatever it is home to the USC Trojans basketball and USC volleyball teams.
Why did they name college sports teams after prophylactics?
And has played host to concerts, pageants, theatrical performances, and more.
Well, here's one more theatrical performance.
The annual Kids' Choice Awards, presented by Nickelodeon, have originated from the Gallon Center numerous times.
Well, maybe I should have waited to make the comparison then till you brought that up. But
well, we'll get back to that. Let me continue with the other arena.
Yeah, where are we going on the right coast?
Slammiversary is Sunday, July 20th at the UBS Arena in Belmont Park, New York.
Where the fuck is that?
That is the brand new arena that AEW first started running. And they got a couple of big houses, and MJF was all over TV locally up here. That's a big.
You a big motherfucker.
No, for TNA, we all talk about Tony Khan now scaling back finally on these big buildings. This is the other way for TNA. This is TNA taking their pay-per-view event to a building. They've never run a building like that on the East Coast, have they? In the Northeast, in New York, have they ever?
Well, have they? Where has TNA run a big house show? I remember when I was there 06 to 09, they did a building in suburban St. Louis. It was like a 7,000 seater. Atlanta, same thing. When have they run? During the Hogan era? Did they may have run big buildings. I don't hear about them filling them up, but.
Well, this is a big building for them, especially in the market in New York. Here's some more information. Opened in 2021, the UBS Arena is the home of the New York Islanders of the National Hockey League. Here's a quote from TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth. I am beyond excited to defend the TNA World Championship from coast to coast in two of the most iconic cities of...
Two of the most iconic cities.
In two of the most iconic...
He needs to put New York and L.A. over.
In two of the most iconic cities in the world, Los Angeles and New York City. This is a groundbreaking day for TNA Wrestling. I cannot wait for the ride that TNA will be on in 2025. Tickets go on sale
because that's when they're running Six Flags over fucking Jersey.
So, again, we're talking about what's going on with AEW. TNA has now been working with WWE, at least NXT, but that's WWE. You have to think if they have any favors to call in, it may be for a big pay-per-view event in July in New York City. Queens, technically. What do you think of this? I mean, this is a major... I mean, for everyone that thought TNA, whatever it was dead when Scott D'Amore left. Remember we heard talent was ready to walk out. Everyone was upset. That was the end of the company. They seem to be in the midst of their most successful run in many years right now. And they actually seem to be growing in some support from fans.
Well, but the question, so have we established what is the seating capacity, or what could this building be set up for? Because again, I'm like you, and most of the footage I've seen of TNA of recent years has been in smaller locations. But I would think on the surface of it, I hate to just come out and say something like this because I can so often be fooled that unless they're crazy, they have an attraction in mind that they believe that they can do well in that building with. The question is, what is it? Is it
John Cena's longtime dream of working for TNA? For one,
well, yeah, something like that. But that's what I don't know what it would be unless it's something that they believe either from the WWE relationship would have a mainstream appeal, or something that some relationship they've gotten into where there's someone in that New York market that they believe that they can sell some tickets with. But you don't just all of a sudden, and if the fans are voting where they want to have a show, well, that's one thing. But
we really, if you think about just where fan bases are, like Des Moines doesn't have a shot.
Oh yeah, I don't think that Des Moines was even going to fucking outrank Detroit. But that's one thing there. If you're having the fans vote where you have a show, because you can still control what kind of facility you have the show in that location. But if you're renting a big major arena when that is not traditionally what you're doing, then you gotta already think you have the attraction in mind, right? Rather than, if we rent it, they will come.
And again, they can scale buildings down. We've seen it, but the UBS Arena, capacity for concerts, 19,000.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a big building. It's the brand new arena.
Does Hogan need money again? Is that, what else? I don't see what they can do that would justify that. Do you? Can you?
If you have favors to call in, that's when you call them in, right?
Well, how many fucking favors they got? We're not,
Yeah, I don't know what kind of favors they would be, by the way.
There's nobody in NXT that's good. They'd be running an NXT show in the USB arena or whatever the fuck. No, that's calling in a favor like
AJ Styles returns to TNA.
I'm sorry.
No?
No. If you're setting a 19,000 seat building up for a half a house, that's 10,000 people, and just the appearance of one person on the TNA, in addition to the regular TNA roster, or a couple people or whatever, unless you were talking about did Cody ever, was he ever in TNA to return? Or what? I mean, that's Punk in Chicago type of thing that you would need to justify that, isn't it?
Again, I don't know what that would be. It's an interesting move. It's an ambitious move. I mean, they have a lot of time. This is kind of like their Wembley in a lot of ways.
What was that date again?
July 20th. So here are their big upcoming dates, I guess. Because they have a mega on sale. Friday, December 20th. Free plug for TNA there. El Paso, March 14th and 15th at the El Paso County Coliseum. Night one is a TNA Plus Live special, Sacrifice.
And come on now. Don't make fun of their show names.
They're all awful. Everyone.
Well, but still, it's tradition. The County Coliseum, is that the old building in El Paso at the fairgrounds, which isn't too large or, too expensive. So 2 nights in a row, that doesn't seem out of the way.
Capacity listed on Wikipedia is 5,250, but I don't know exactly what that's for. But that's a good size medium sized building.
A good size, medium size, large place.
That's the kind of place we've been saying that AEW should run. So they'll be there. March 28th and 29th, St. Joseph, Missouri. And then it says in parentheses, Kansas City.
Wait a minute. What? Hold on. No, hold on.
This is their press release, ladies and gentlemen.
Where's my goddamn atlas?
The venue, the St. Joseph Civic Arena. Both nights will be taped for the company's flagship weekly TV show, Impact.
Just hold on here 1 second. Missouri. Now, let's see. St. Joseph. Where is St. Joseph? They said they're supposed to be right next to fucking St. Louis?
No, it's
what did you
Kansas
say?
City. I said it says
Kansas City. Well, I'm looking in the wrong place. Well, what the? Hold on here. Let's see. 1 inch, 25 miles. It's fucking 50 miles. Hold on. There's here, St. Joseph. St. Joseph to Kansas City's 54 miles. I didn't think that was a suburb.
Isn't that the way it works in the Midwest? Like, oh, he was a stone's throw. That's close enough.
No, it's the other way around. It's like, what you going all the way over to St. Joe? That's a long way off.
Well, it says here in parentheses, Kansas City, the St. Joseph Civic Arena.
Well, that's like saying Nashville when you're in Bowling Green.
April 27th.
Nobody would do that.
April 27th, Los Angeles, California, the Gallon Center. This Sunday Night Spectacular is the annual Rebellion pay-per-view, airing live around the world from the campus of USC. And then finally, July 20th, New York City. They don't want to say Queens. It doesn't say Queens in parentheses there, does it? The UBS Arena. This Sunday night showcases the annual extravaganza Slammiversary, airing live around the world on pay-per-view from the home of the NHL New York Islanders.
Where has Samoa Joe gone? I just realized that.
Again, he doesn't work for any of the companies we're actually talking about right now, but Samoa Joe, last I heard, was filming something. He's in a movie.
What? War and fucking Peace?
It's a movie or it's a mini series or a streaming series.
He lost the title in December, and I don't remember. Have we seen him since? I mean, it didn't take that long to shoot Gone with the Wind.
I didn't even remember that he was the champion until you just brought that up.
Yes, because he was getting over as champion, so they beat him, and then boom, and then the MJF and the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea and. But the point I was making, a TNA Slammiversary, who could come as Samoa Joe, but then not for 20,000 people in New York. He's not.
Well, and Tony's not going to lend him out either to TNA.
Well, is he still work there?
I believe so.
Doing what? Why can't we see Samoa Joe?
He's filming stuff somewhere for something. Just not Tony. But he's filming very important stuff that'll get him a lot of notoriety for another organization entirely.
Well, there you go.
There you go. That's the story. For anyone who says that we don't cover TNA, there's the TNA news. Jim, another story breaking. And a lot of people sent this in. It's not really a story, but enough people sent in something to the email, CornyDriveThru@gmail.com, or retweeted or sent it to us via Twitter or whatever else. Dustin Rhodes, on December 3rd, 2024, 6:16 p.m., tweeted out.
Is this time stamped because it's like a deposition, or was this under oath, or what?
I'm trying to
be all dramatic.
I'm bringing accuracy to the table. You should try that sometime.
I'll have you know that I have as much accuracy as the next guy.
Well, here's what Dustin Rhodes.
Make his name accurate.
Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Dustin Rhodes. He's a
Playboy Buddy's brother.
Here's what he tweeted out. Here's a thought. Just enjoy wrestling. Please stop the constant attacking and vitriol towards us. We have the most passionate wrestlers in the world. We do this for you. Hashtag, I'm with AEW. And then he tags AEW. AEW and I love and watch all wrestling. All in caps. again, the ratings had come out. People were
everything I do it for you.
Again, as I was saying, I think this came on the heels of a lot of the discourse around the low ratings.
There was discord about the discourse, is what you're saying?
Well, Dustin took it upon himself, seemingly, to put a defense out there for AEW and how passionate everyone is. Any thoughts on this, on the context of it, and just the idea to do this?
Well, the concept gets 100 and the execution gets a 10, and the context is the problem, if that makes any sense. Because when the news is that this particular company's ratings suck and their shows are bad, and a lot of people are pointing it out, for an employee of that place to defend it is not ever going to, even if it's a full-throated endorsement, it's not ever going to land, as the kids say, as with the same way as an independent observation or something like that. Yeah, what's he going to say? Yeah, you're right, our show fucking sucks. But what he could have done, because Dustin he's a nice guy who has tried to modify some of his behaviors over the years and be in a more positive light and helpful and contributory to wrestling and society, and so he's easily likable. Instead of, hey, y'all lay off of us, phrasing it like, hey, come on, everybody, let's all love all wrestling. What's the negativity? Whether it's our company or another company, or well, let's not bring the business into it. And how did he phrase it? He could have said all wrestlers are passionate about what they do to try to, with the goal to entertain you. If he brought everybody in, you'd kind of have to be a prick like me to fucking pick it apart, right?
We have the most passionate wrestlers in the world. They're fucking all over the place.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, they're fucking. I mean, we have to hose them down in the fucking locker room every week at TV. They're goddamn like horny dogs. They just won't stay off my leg. Get off my damn leg. But no, you see what I'm saying? If he brought everybody in the business into it and all the fans into it and made it a more general statement, the point would be made. But it wouldn't sound like he's just saying, please don't talk about our shitty ratings and rotten shows.
You know,
because it's just his.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too. It was kind of like a anti-tribal message in a tribal
yes.
way. You know what I mean? Like, let's not all have problems.
He both said to everybody, hey, everybody should chill out and love all wrestling, but leave my company out of this. He narrowed it down. That's what I'm saying.
I think the best part, too, is he attached a photo of himself in his blue gear with half his face blue and the AEW logo behind him kind of doing his little pose. So, I don't know how serious to take this, but...
Don't it make my gold dust blue?
The idea of wrestlers going to Twitter to defend their company, whether it's AEW or in the past we've seen it with WWE even. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, it's ridiculous, especially, I'm not saying Dustin's a heel. If you were a heel and you did that, it's even more ridiculous because all the heels should be, indifferent as to how the promoters are seen. They should be self-absorbed and wrapped up in their own shit. But no, if you're a personality, promote your shit. Promote the company, but you don't defend it on Twitter, because then to defend it, you're bringing up on your Twitter to people who may not know, because I know this is hard for some people to believe, but a wrestler on TV may have a fan on Twitter that doesn't read the internet and know all the backstage scoops. They just like the guy's theme music or whatever the fuck. So on the Twitter, I'm going to bring up, a lot of people say that my match sucked or my promotion sucked or my goddamn TV show I was on sucked, but I'd like to argue with you about that. You just bringing it up. Let the company do that if they're going to do it.
How do you think you would have managed Twitter, if it was around 30 years ago? Again, there's a lot of intangibles that were different then, but just, play along with this example here.
Okay.
Would it be hard if you're part of management or, close to management or, you can see management over there, but would it be hard not to jump on there and defend your company?
No, because 30 or 40 years ago, they wouldn't have been griping about the company. They would have been the equivalent of fan communication 40 years ago was the fan mail that I reprinted in the Midnight Express scrapbook. And I could have taken a picture of the letter written in crayon from a 14-year-old girl in Sumter, South Carolina, who was going to wait until she was 18 years old and then find me and kill me for what I'd done to Ricky and Robert. I could have tweeted the picture of it, and I could have insulted her and her family and the Sumter County school system because of all the words that she misspelled, and made even more fun of the fans to get them to want to fucking murder me even more. So, yeah, that would have been fun.
But there we go.
There you go.
The big Dustin Rhodes news.
But can you imagine when I was just being able to talk to him on television and had death threats and people trying to fucking throw shit at us and goddamn physically assault us in the arenas, if I could have responded to some of them individually?
No, but beyond you, let's say in 1990, 1991, there was Twitter. And we're talking about the same management at WCW who loved running to the sheets. Jim Herd, there were plenty of interviews with Jim Herd all over the fucking place.
Oh, yeah.
He wouldn't have been on Twitter arguing with fans or just trying to blow the company. You know what I mean? He probably would have been. That's where it gets a little different, but...
As a talent, and especially as a heel, I would have just stuck to being who I was on the television program on Twitter. And if all of the talent did that, they could have used it just as they did the radio shows and the personal appearances and the fucking guest spots on other TV shows and all the shit that they did then. If we're assuming that today's communication exists, but in that time period, that's what the communication would have been like. But it would have been easier to get candid photography of the girls at ringside back in those days.
Until the first guy got hacked, and then it would change the game again.
Well, but whether you were the hacker or the hackee.
Oh, please. I know a few guys that would leave their phone in a bar. It wouldn't be password protected. That's all it would take. Jim, let's stay on the topic of, something that revolves around a tweet. And this story, there's a lot to try to figure out here. I have several links in front of me. And by the way, let me bring this up because I said this, I think, last time too. The Ricky Starks interview we talked about last week was apparently from a Chris Van Vliet interview, which I didn't know. And people are like, how come you haven't given him credit? Because I didn't fucking know. I didn't see the guy in it. I didn't hear him in it. What the fuck?
We said that at the time that we presented it. We've got this clip that somebody sent us, and we wanted us to comment on this. We don't know where this is from or who's talking here. Yeah. Well, we knew Ricky Starks was talking, but we didn't know who he was talking to.
That's right.
But now it's Chris Ben blah, 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 blah. So, good heavens. It's like he's the voice of goddamn Edgar Buchanan and everybody in the world knows it or something.
What I saw was literally a camera on Ricky Starks sitting on a couch, and there was no bug, there was no other person shown, there was no other voice heard. So I don't know.
But now we know Chris Van Vliet is the bug.
So, to follow up again on something from last week, because it feeds into this specific story, the clip that was sent to me, I guess Effy, after everything broke down, went on his podcast.
Now, wait a minute, Effy, just bring the people up now, because a lot of these names are very obscure to modern polite society. Effy is the wrestler that works for Garbage Championship Wrestling that said things about Tony Khan and AEW running the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York in front of his garbage company that led to Tony being offended and pulling Starks from all the dates that he had let him agree to in that company, since Tony won't use him in AEW. That's where we're at.
That they just announced the day before. He'll be at these dates. Yeah. No, he won't.
No, he won't. And he's gone.
Well, because again, like I said, this feeds into this other story that's happening right now. Apparently, this is from an interview or a thing he did either on his podcast. I don't know. The clip I have does not say where it's from. It says that it was translated from Body Slam Net.
Could have been a conversation he was having in his living room.
You know, the statement I made that seemingly was what pissed him off was about his dad paying him to stay away. And I think those words were appointed. And to clarify, I would like to say that I don't think that Tony Khan has ever been the best person that interviewed for a job, that's why he got this translation.
Okay, is this one of those translations like that we heard the other day from a foreign language, or was he drunk?
What I meant to say is this is from Tokyo Sports, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure. I think he's been given a lot of positions in companies his father owns. I think he's been given a lot of fluff PR positions. I do not think he was ever the best technical person for any of the jobs that he has listed. I think the first time he ever actually did any real work was firing CM Punk.
Oh, God.
That's why it was so emotionally exhausting for him. So let's stop there again. And, you know, it kind of goes back to that drive-thru question several weeks ago. How do you separate the art from the artist? How do you separate the artist from the art? Not a fan of Effy's work from the photos I've seen of it. But he may be a little stiff with what he says, but he's not saying anything that you go, that man's a liar.
Well, no, that's the thing. He probably realizes, especially at this point, he's not going to get a job out of the billionaire, so he doesn't mind telling the truth. And there's nothing there to be argued with or argued about or whatever, as you said, but when I was talking about the original bone of contention that they were running the same building and AEW was coming in a month ahead of them or whatever. I still refuse to believe that it was a specific targeted attack by AEW as much as they wanted to run smaller buildings 3 nights in a row. And where can we get away with this? New York, we can maybe fill up a 2,000-seater or make it look respectable. And it just so happened that GCW was having their first event there in 3 years or whatever in January or February. So if Effy, although I can't argue that anything that he said is inaccurate, if he had held on to his goddamn shorts for a little while, or maybe cleared it with his boss, they might have realized, what the fuck, this fucking guy, you see pictures of the guy that runs that fucking mud show. He's got to be a surgeon. He probably thinks they're more important than they are. And I guarantee you this was not an attempt to fuck with their show. It happened that way, and they wouldn't have had to lose the relationship if they all hadn't have fucking thought that they were. How do they even claim or want any kind of exclusivity past a few weeks on either side in a building that they've run once ever and not for 3 years?
You know, the core of the problem beyond Effy, just this specific situation is, it sounds like there's never been a relationship between AEW and GCW, despite the fact that AEW has lent them talent.
Were they booking the fucking talent?
I guess the talent may have been handling it themselves or going through that wonderful AEW talent relations department. I really don't know.
Okay, well, if the talent was handling it themselves, then both sides are at fault. Tony Khan should be fucking mad at at his talent that somebody in the company had to give them anybody, whether it be the plumber, Moxley, or whether it's Starks now, because Moxley's been there before with another one of his stooges. There had to be okay given for contracted talent to appear. And if GCW is going on the talent's word instead of talking to somebody officially from the promotion and doing paperwork, it's their fucking fault anyway for being stupid. You don't take a guy's word for that. What the fuck is going on? And how the fuck are these people that work for Tony Khan booked over there and being advertised in front of God and everybody? And he don't see it and ask somebody, hey, did I say this was okay? He must have. What the fuck? amateurs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Again,
what was the question?
There's the fact that there's no relationship, the fact that there's no communication, especially at a time where with WWE forging bigger relationships, not just with the promotions, now directly with the talent. Not even the talent they train, just the other loose talent they could find.
I did this job in the WWF in 1997, 8, 9, whatever period of time that was. If there was a contracted talent on the WWF roster that was appearing on an off day at an autograph signing at a goddamn roller rink for $500, we had the promoter's insurance certificate and a goddamn signed contract on the talent, on the date from the promoter, and the parameters and times of what he would do and wouldn't do and would be there and wouldn't be there. So you mean to tell me, oh, Christ.
Well, that's the update on everything there. But like I said, it leads into other things. And talking about wrestlers on Twitter doing something or doing their own thing or who knows what the hell they're doing. That's kind of where this starts. Do you remember we talked, I think, last year about Ryan Nemeth, who was working for AEW at the time? He went on Twitter, and I forget exactly what he was reacting to. But let me see if I have the exact thing here. Literally, the softest man alive. June 17th, 2023. 6:46 p.m. And it was always said this was in relation to CM Punk and something with CM Punk.
Yes, and I recall at the time, because I'm a fan of his brother's work, and he got his basics here at OVW in Louisville. I'm a fan of his brother's work, and I thought he was doing a good job, Ryan, the Hollywood hunk, as far as self-promoting himself for that period of time. And his face was out there, and he was making the most of his TV appearances where he was getting the shit kicked out of him, but he was more memorable than the average flunky. And then I remember saying I'm disheartened that he's apparently one of the Lollipop Guild that, hangs out with the Cucamonga kids, and had opened his mouth in his position, which was a questionable choice at best. And that's where we left it last year. That's what I remember.
I have something here. This was a Fightful article by Jeremy Lambert, March 28th, 2024, so earlier this year. Ryan Nemeth clarifies his tweet aimed at CM Punk. When CM Punk returned to AEW television on the premiere episode of AEW Collision, oh, that's what it was, he said that the only people softer than certain fans are the wrestlers that they liked. Nemeth,
a very memorable line, as I recall.
Nemeth took to social media to tweet literally the softest man alive. So it was direct response to that.
Yeah.
Speaking to Sports Skeeta, Nemeth clarifies his tweet. Here's a quote. There are some things I can talk about and some things I can't talk about. I can very happily tell you about my tweet. The top good guy was on the TV show, was missing for 8 months due to what I was told was a triceps injury, right? On his very first night back, he, in character, called someone else soft. I thought, well, I'm a heel. This is a babyface. We both work for the same wrestling company. He gets injured more than anyone who has ever wrestled. And on his very first night back, in character, called someone else soft.
In character?
I thought, what else am I supposed to do? Of course I must respond to this.
Oh my God.
In character. And I did. Anything beyond that, I'm probably not safely able to talk about at this time. I think that's a very reasonable thing for a bad guy heel to say in response to a heroic babyface who seemed to be a little hypocritical. Is that fair?
It seemed to be a little hypocritical. It was a shoot comment directed at Ryan's buddies, and he knew it. And he would have to be either a complete imbecile or being consoled by those buddies that nothing bad would happen to him to make that comment in public. And he, again, what the fuck, in character, he is a babyface. And you think it might be a sore point that he'd been injured a few times. And Ryan, again, bless you, you know the difference. Your brother was taught by Rip Rogers. If you didn't have too much time around him, it's complete bullshit what you're saying. The idea that you would bring it upon yourself to comment on anything that the top babyface in the company had to say since you were a job guy. Yes, you were doing great job of self-promotion to get your face out there and taking some good bumps on television, but good Lord. This is a classic example of him thinking that he could get away with nettling a star when he had no gravity in his position whatsoever because he's friends with the Buckaroos or whatever. And no, it would be like, can you imagine if Dusty walked into Jimmy Crockett's office one day and said, yeah, well, one of the job guys got a problem with Flair, some Flair said. And then Crockett would say, well, were you able to get somebody else for TV? Yeah, I got it covered. Okay, good. And the fuck? Ryan Nemeth shouldn't have been speaking in those circles. The adults were talking. So and he would know that from his status in the community to CM Punks and other people in the company. He would know that. He's just trying to put out a cover story that the marks believe these days because they think this is like going to work at, Dunder Mifflin and everybody has a goddamn regular status. No. The job guys don't fucking put the mouth on the goddamn top guys. End of story. So this is not a surprise.
Well, then Fightful Select followed up on that August 13th. We've now heard stories from many sides of the AEW Collision CM Punk removal situation, as highlighted on August...
The CM Punk removal situation. It sounds like a septic pumping company.
As highlighted on August 13th, Ryan Nemeth was brought into North Carolina before the tapings, before he was promptly sent home. We've learned more about the words that they had recently. According to those familiar with the situation, Punk approached Nemeth when the two were at the Chicago Dynamite, where Punk was asked to be at. Yeah, they asked the biggest star to be at his hometown show.
And wrote about it in such an interesting way, where Punk was asked to be at.
Punk spoke to Nemeth and asked him to make good on his literally the softest man alive tweet. The two moved out of the locker room and into a hallway where those close to Punk claimed that Nemeth said he was working to get heat. Punk believed that the tweet...
And I believe that that's what happened. I believe that
that's what he said. I believe that
Punk said, well, okay, are we going to prove this accusation now? And we'll go out here in the hallway, we'll talk about it. And that's what the guy said, because that's what his buddies had told him. I'll just say that if anything happens.
That should be the move. I mean, that's the move now, though. You can just do anything on Twitter. Your mother's a whore. What did you say? Hey, I was just working to get heat.
I'm working.
I'm working to get heat.
I mean, this is not like it's a new thing. New Jack said that to me in 1998. I was just working. Well, but we weren't working in the same place, and I wasn't working with you anymore. so you need to let me know when you're working. But no, it's not new, but go ahead.
Punk believed the tweet was Nemeth trying to score points with his friends and asked him to knock it off because, quote, tensions were high and they were trying to move on.
There you go.
He said that he didn't want Nemeth being passive-aggressive unless they were handling it another way. People close to Punk claim that Nemeth apologized and the two shook hands. It was confirmed to us that Punk didn't want Nemeth on Collision, even eating and catering, much less wrestling on the show.
Well, what is he coming to just get a free fucking meal?
Yeah, is that how it works? If you work for the company, even if you're not booked, you can just show up and eat? It wasn't clarified to us if it was because of his tweet or the relationship with the Elite. That rhymes. In addition, Nick Houseman of House of Wrestling reported that the reason Christopher Daniels was kept from Collision because Ace Steel, CM Punk's friend, is not allowed at Collision. Punk didn't see that as fair. Daniels was also involved in the brawl out last September. So this is...
how is any of this controversial?
Well,
why would you expect any reactions to be any different?
Well, I have here, I'm going to go to the Wrestling Observer newsletter website, an article by Josh Nason. Ryan Nemeth sent complaint to AEW executives about CM Punk harassment and threats. In a document obtained by Fightful, former AEW wrestler Ryan Nemeth filed a complaint with several executives in which he claimed he suffered abuse, harassment, and threats while with the company, specifically from CM Punk, and that AEW didn't do anything about it. According to Fightful, a timeline was provided by Nemeth in the complaint, in addition to a claim of emails, texts, phone call logs, and other records to back up his statements. The main issue was AEW's lack of response to any of the incidents he allegedly had with Punk, and where he instead was, quote, ordered to verbally antagonize the now current WWE star on TV.
Wait a minute, so what is he saying? He said that instead of, after Punk said knock it off, they ordered him to antagonize him? Or what is he talking about here?
Well, we'll have to get to the details because who's they? That's the other thing. The report stated he was seeking changes to AEW's policy and financial consideration. He claimed he was offered in exchange for an NDA following the timeline he provided, the information of which is below.
Wait a minute. What? So he was saying, I'm complaining about the way that Punk talked to me, but if you give me money, I'll sign an NDA and not complain about it anymore? What the fuck?
Well, here's the timeline.
What is this?
Here's the timeline he outlined, and there's more information, and I have a few different things pulled up to try to get everything here, because there's a lot. This is what he outlined according to Fightful. April 16th, Nemeth claimed he contacted former Chief Legal Officer Mega Parikh with concerns he would be targeted by Punk.
Targeted? Why is Ryan Nemeth believing that he was important enough in the overall scheme of things in that organization that Punk, with all the other children he had to deal with, would be sitting at home thinking of ways to target Ryan Nemeth?
Ross Abrams. Ross Abrams.
There you go. Instead of the merchandise weasel, he's the job weasel.
On June 21st, Nemeth claimed that Punk threatened him in a locker room, also stating Parikh, the Young Bucks, and Tony Schiavone showed him empathy for the incident.
He had to state that people showed him empathy?
He wasn't booked to wrestle for 2 months and said Jon Moxley supported him, claiming Moxley said the situation didn't sit right with him. On July 17th, Nemeth again contacted Parikh about a lack of response to the alleged locker room incident and felt he had been silently fired due to speaking up, which Parikh assured him wasn't the case. He was concerned...
Okay, hold on. For one thing, he probably was silently fired for speaking up and creating another goddamn issue when there was already enough issues amongst the people that were more important to the company. And secondly, what's the legal people going to say? Oh, no, we did fire you because you're a fucking wise ass. And why is he filing written complaints over being told, knock it the fuck off unless you want a goddamn fight? Just knock it the fuck off.
He was concerned his per-date contract wouldn't be renewed. On August 12th, Nemeth arrived in Greensboro, North Carolina for Collision and was told to go home. An incident that was previously reported. The situation was initially said by Pat Buck to be simple travel confusion, before he later told Nemeth that Punk didn't want him there. AKA travel confusion. After calling Parikh again and requesting for AEW to do something, Nemeth says he was flown to a Wednesday, August 16th Dynamite and told to cut a promo in front of the live crowd where he would verbally antagonize Punk.
Do we remember this?
I don't. And also, it doesn't say who told him that, who actually directed him to do that. He then met with both AEW HR and legal on that same day.
Good Lord, why are they humoring this fucking guy?
And was unsatisfied.
He's not that goddamn important. You're a job guy. You're on a per date contract. I don't care if my main event fucking star goddamn wipes his feet on you on his way in the door. If you complain to me about it and my main event star don't want to quit wiping his feet, I'm going to tell you quit showing up. What the fuck? It's that simple. This is not a goddamn fucking Best Buy you work at here. This is showbiz, Jack. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little
That's all
pissed.
right. He then met with both AEW HR and legal, probably because it was the same person,
the fuck?
On the same day and was unsatisfied with their response.
No! Why are they giving this much time?
He was one of the people that spoke to outside counsel as part of the investigation AEW launched after Punk and Jack Perry's backstage fight before All In. He last worked for AEW November 18th. His contract expired this past March. So that's a little bit of the time.
Do you remember the story that I told you about Greg the office boy in Ring of Honor and Charlie Haas?
Greg and Charlie Haas? No, I don't think so.
Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin had a deal with Ring of Honor where part of what they were getting paid on their merchandise also, and the merchandise checks came out every quarterly period, whatever the fuck, and Charlie Haas, innocently enough and fairly politely enough, went up to Greg the office boy and asked him one day when the royalty checks were going to be out, and because Greg the office boy was feeling put upon with all the paperwork he had to do, he gave Charlie Haas a rude answer that I can't remember verbatim right now, but it was rude, as he usually did, this guy, and it pissed Charlie off. So Charlie came to me and said, who is that guy, or is he important, whatever? He said, well, I'm going to knock him the fuck out. And so what? And that's when he told me, so I just asked him about this check, and he's told me that, so the next time he talks to me like that, I'm going to knock him the fuck out. And you might recall that it wasn't but a few months later that Charlie Haas, Grizzly Redwood, fucking fucked with Charlie Haas's fucking hat or whatever, and Charlie Haas knocked him the fuck out. So it was eminently possible that something like that could go on. So I went to Greg the office boy, because in my mind, and I'm sorry if it's not the corporate attitude to take, but Charlie Haas, my co-tag team champion and one of my main event guys, was a lot more important than this little fucking weasel from the accounting department. And I told him, I said, Greg, I just want to let you know that you might better come up with a better answer to when's my check going to be ready than whatever you just said. He said, well, I'm busy. I said, well, you need to go to Charlie and you need to say, Charlie, I've really been overworked, a lot of paperwork, but I'm going to do those next week, and yours is going to be the first one I do. And use that answer to anybody that asks you about the royalty checks. I said, because if you talk to Charlie like that again, he's going to knock you the fuck out. And he laughed. I said, no, I'm serious. Because that's when he had just started working with wrestling and he wasn't aware that, shit happens. I said, no, I'm serious. He's going to knock you the fuck out if you talk to him like that again. I said, now I'll have to fire him, but you'll still be unconscious. And then he did Charlie's check and Shelton's too. But that's what the fuck? Who does Ryan Nemeth think he is that he's important to cause this much stir? If
there's more,
you opened your fucking pie hole about the top guy, and yes, there's more. Go on, but you opened your mouth about the top guy, and then you lose your spot over it. This is not revolutionary.
The report stated that Chris Peck of AEW's legal team reached out to work on a settlement for approximately 3 years' salary.
What? The fuck?
Hold on, you didn't even let me finish.
We book you per night, motherfucker. You fucking ran your dick licker about our top guy, and he don't like you, and you're not fucking good enough to fucking argue about this. Be free and fly away and the best in your future endeavors.
Wait a minute. And if that's in late 2023, didn't they just say his contract expired in early 2024? March. It expired in March.
Oh, Christ.
So hold on, let me finish the sentence. The report stated that Chris Peck of AEW's legal team reached out to work out a settlement for approximately 3 years' salary in exchange for an NDA following the submission of the timeline, assumed to be in September 2023, while he was still with the company. Nemeth said he was interested and wanted to discuss it more before being told it was pulled off the table for reasons that are unclear.
Somebody came to their fucking senses.
He also claimed that Peck, who took over for Parikh, along with Margaret Stalvey, threatened to sue him about the timeline at one point, and that Peck said he would be placed in an, and this is a quote, antagonistic position to Mega if the situation went to arbitration. AEW has yet to publicly...
The situation? What is the situation? You made a smart-ass remark on Twitter. The guy said, hey, you want to do something about it? You said, no, sir, I don't. He said, well, I don't really want you around. You're probably going to be booked here less. I didn't even say that. He just did it. And that's the name of that tune, the end. What the fuck? Oh, God. Well, I wish them all the best. How much money have they wasted on just giving it to people who had some whiny little bitchy complaint?
You know, really also... I know everyone always wants to just point out, CM Punk's the bad guy, and maybe some of the things he does is not the right thing to do, obviously, and that's awful grammar, the way I put that.
I was about to say it. What was wrong with this one?
Well, what I was going to say is, look at everything the more that comes out, and again, he's been gone a long time, and still he's the biggest star in AEW, but look at what he was up against. Guys like Jack Perry, who was a bigger star than Ryan Nemeth, who wasn't a star at all on that show. He was part of some group. I don't even remember what their name was. What group were they?
Well, they just put a bunch of underneath guys together because they went out and did hokey shit.
But again, you had imagine if Hulk Hogan, again, not to compare CM Punk to Hulk Hogan, but in terms of just the biggest star, imagine if Hulk Hogan, had Mr. X talking shit in the locker room.
That fucking Johnny Rods.
Yeah, Vince, fire him. I'm not working with him anymore. But CM Punk had whoever whispering to Dave Meltzer about the Colt Cabana stuff, had Colt Cabana there, had the Young Bucks, who he didn't have a good relationship with.
Paige that turned into shooting promos on television that Paige couldn't even pull off.
The issues with Moxley around Rocky 3, including the big revelation that CM Punk has never watched Rocky. I don't know how the hell that happens. And then you hear about this. Just every guy on the card felt they were free to do this kind of thing. That's insane. And that's what he was up against. Now you see how relieved he is working for WWE, getting punched in the face. A lot less pressure than dealing with this kind of shit show. And it all comes from the same central problem. Bad management. No management. Everything running through Tony, and Tony either making bad decisions or just not making decisions.
And Tony not telling the legal department, are you out of your mind if it was their idea to get involved in this? And having control of the situation where you just tell the guy, look, here, no, just you're a fucking smart ass. You pissed him off and you're not going to get booked anymore. How is that hard to tell a wrestler?
Well, we will stay on top of this story. Again, Fightful obtained this document. I don't know if it's leading to something. or if anything's going to happen, but it certainly paints AEW's management in a bad light again.
Hey, I'll tell you, 3 years salary for one argument, I could be there for 2 hours and goddamn retire with 20 years fucking pay.
What do you think of the people who are arguing, the diehard, not even AEW fan, just the subsect of AEW fans that root for everything with the Elite? Another example of why CM Punk was a bad hire for the company.
Yeah, because he cost us Ryan Nemeth. Oh, the glory and the heights that the company could have reached if only the Hollywood hunk was on top. Come on.
Well, Jim, if I asked you to place a wager, will this be the last time that a CM Punk related story becomes a breaking AEW story? Or will we have more? What would you bet on? If you had to go to the casino, to be specific.
Well, I'm going to be as lack of specific as possible. You know, I'll tell you who I'm betting on one fact. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Brian, holidays on the house at DraftKings Casino. It's the most wonderful time of the year. You can bet on the football or which fighter will fall and win money for hookers and blow. It's the most wonderful. I'm telling you. Boy, everybody's going to make some money this holiday season with the DraftKings Casino. And Brian, you can't say, come on, the thing is, if you win a lot of money, like you're going to with DraftKings, you want to spend it for the holidays. A lot of men would spend it on a hooker, and then blow might follow from there because blow depends on the hooker. I'll tell you what, when I first started going to Vegas in the 80s, flat rate of $100 tipping optional. I can't imagine what inflation has done. And Las Vegas, they got to pay for the Sphere somewhere out in Las Vegas. But folks, you don't have to go to Las Vegas to go to a casino.
And you don't have to follow any of this. You could also just have your own journey in the casino with DraftKings.
But the reason why I mentioned the $100, because DraftKings is offering a warm welcome to new players, $100 instantly in casino credits with just a $10 wager. Now, even if $100 doesn't get you as much as it used to be, a lot of people don't think it'd be like it is, but it do. It's still $100, and you're only risking $10. So a $10 wager gets you $100 instantly in casino credits. That's for new players. Everybody, new and old alike, young and old, poor and fat, rich and skinny, everybody can get in on the action with a holiday reward every week because they're offering exclusive games, huge jackpots, exciting rewards, and potentially even some pardons, I understand. What? It's like a get-out-of-jail-free card.
That's not how this... No.
And then you can pass go and collect your $100 instantly in casino credits.
I think you need to go past whatever you just said, and we need to get back to the facts. Just the facts, ma'am, or Jim, or whoever you are, Bob, Steve, Ray, whoever's out there.
Don't call me Shirley. Well, you can sign up with the code Cornette because the holiday cheer is here, and that's how you get that $100 instantly in casino credits for your holiday cheer, wherever you want to find it. Hey, you use the code Cornette at the DraftKings Casino when that's right down the street. And you sign up there with the code Cornette. It's not the draft board now. There's no line there. It's the DraftKings Casino.
For anyone who's confused about that, who thought they had to sign up for service.
Well, you saw that Abbott and Costello movie where they thought they were going to the theater, but they actually ended up signing up to go to the Army, and it was a big mishap. It took them a while to straighten it out. So if it says draft board, don't get in that line. Sign up at the DraftKings Casino.
The crown is yours.
Yes, with the code Cornette.
That's right. The crown is yours. And on that topic, Jim, we have a friend here who likes to share that crown with us and inform the listeners, who you have nothing to say about due to your long-running dispute with him. Let's go to him now.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. 21 and over. Physically present in Connecticut, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, West Virginia only. Void in Ontario. Eligibility restrictions apply. New customers only. Opt-in required. Casino credits are non-withdrawable and expire in 168 hours. Terms at casino.draftkings.com/promos.
Guy's loud. Just loud.
Well, there you have that.
Yeah.
So we've got that information now.
Well, speaking of information, you're not going to get any on AEW Dynamite. You know, a week where WWE Raw put on a show that it was almost impossible not to think was really well done. It was another Dynamite and another episode filled up with this tournament, another episode with the Moxley stuff. Another taped MJF promo from, this time it was a bar, I guess. A battle royal with no finish. I mean, there was a lot here. It was just, you know, someone actually texted me, and he'll get a kick out of me mentioning this, just saying, the show is lame. It's lame. This battle royal is the lamest battle royal I've ever seen, I think was the exact quote. But let's talk about AEW Dynamite from Indiana.
Yes.
Somewhere in Indiana.
Somewhere in Indiana wants me. No, they don't. Actually, this crowd wasn't bad. I'm not talking about in terms of numerousness. I'm talking about in terms of they started reacting. It took them a lot longer to kill their enthusiasm than it does most of the crowds. They were in Fishers, Indiana, which now, again, got to Rand McNally here, and Fishers is not as far from Indianapolis as St. Joe is from Kansas City. So Fishers it's right down below Noblesville. So they're pretty close to Indianapolis, but oh my God. The tournament, we've talked about it. They're going to do this every year. No matter whether it sucks or not, the graphics to the average person are... Can you even, unless you have an 82-inch television, can you see what the print says on that, the block across and the block down and the circles and the color coding?
No.
And the PowerPoint presentation. If you're a normal person watching a normal television, can you see that?
It's the same thing when they put up their upcoming dates. It's good that they're finally doing that, but they put them all up on the screen at the same time in like rectangle boxes. You can't figure out, you can see maybe the word Dynamite or Collision. Where is it? When is it?
But anyway, they started the show. This is December 4th, by the way. Again, a promising start. Shelton Benjamin versus Kyle Felcher, the Protostar. And again, they've got the rules in this tournament where there's no seconds at ringside. Nobody's allowed to interfere, which means that they can control that anytime they want to. But even though this is technically two heels wrestling each other, we've talked about Kyle having potential, but nobody to teach him, right? How to work in America, how to work television, how to get over. He knows how to do all the moves. Now he had somebody to teach him and lead the match, and he's good. Kyle, I'm talking about. We know Shelton's good. But when he's got somebody to lead him and call the thing, then this was one of the better matches that you will ever see on AEW television. And again, I had written at the start of it, can Shelton pull this off? It's a heel match. One guy's really green. But the way they set it up in the first 2 minutes, Kyle's going to be the heel. And with a shoulder block, the fans were chanting, "Let's go, Shelton," because he's not only coming off as a star, but the subtle things that they did, the way they started this and got into it, they just routed the people behind Shelton. Kyle opened up and got heat for 30 seconds. And then Shelton hit one really impressive clothesline, and Kyle takes a bump and rolls out, takes a powder, and the fans got all over him because he's a coward. He's rolling out. They got a response when they both laid on the top turnbuckle. And then, you know, even when they did the forearm exchange that has to be in every match, the guys were selling what the blow, and the fans were yay booing. Yay, boo, yay, boo. And then Shelton hits the clothesline over the top and the people pop. If they fight on the floor, Shelton rolls in to fucking stop the count or milk the count. And then later on in the match, the fans were, let's go Shelton. But it was good stuff. It wasn't too fast. It followed along somewhat logically. Shelton got a submission hold, and the place blew up, and Kyle got the ropes. And then they trade their running into their super kicks and their bigger bumps, and Shelton goes into those fucking Germans where he launches the guy and releases him. And the people went nuts, standing and applauding. 3 German suplexes. And then they do a bit of back and forth. And Kyle rolls him up with a schoolboy and holds the ropes. 1, 2, 3. The heel cheated. He stole it. And immediately Shelton pops up. Kyle's on the floor. Perfect finish. Got Kyle over, didn't hurt Shelton because the heel stole the thing. It was almost like you were watching another company. They can do it when they want to. What did you think?
I thought it was really good. It made sense the heel cheated, and everyone's going to have to lose, I guess, at some point in this tournament, unless Claudio just steamrolls everyone. But it felt like you almost had a moment there where if Shelton had won, the place would have gone apeshit.
Oh, they would have.
And I think also Shelton's getting a weird reaction now, which is the AEW fans are being won over by him. And that hasn't happened to too many people, if you can really think about it, in a long time. People had a preconceived notion about Shelton based on his booking. What he's doing in the ring is impressing their fans. And it's getting some of the best reactions on their shows.
And again, you know, a lot of, with him and Bobby and MVP together, a lot of these people are, as the old Flair line goes, are just starved for the sight of real men, real stars. So they're going to be cheering for these guys, you know, regardless of what, because they got a lot of weak opposition.
And I know it's the tournament and you're not allowed to have outside interference or anyone at ringside, but I couldn't help but think while this match was happening and Callis, the heel manager's on commentary. Isn't he always on commentary when his guys are wrestling?
Yeah.
He's not even a real manager. So everyone got excited when Big E said, I'm going to be a manager this week on Raw. Like, oh shit, a manager. We don't see them anymore.
Well, and that's another reason why that people don't think a lot of these matches are important. I did commentary at the desk when my guys were against job guys, but if it was the Rock and Roll Express, I was paying attention to what was going on. Anyway, speaking of the tournament, we got an update. Ospreay beat Juice Robinson on Collision. Did he hurt him too? Did he break his fucking leg?
I'm not sure how the injury happened, but apparently after the match, I'll look it up right now. But Juice Robinson out of action, replaced in the tournament by a fan favorite.
Commander, right? Or is it another way? Right. Was it Gravity or...
No, this is Commander. They both...
Space-Time Continuum.
Well, that's not a real wrestler, but the other ones both take to the sky.
Neither one of the other two.
The others take to the sky, but this is Commander.
So Juice just got back from a back injury. How did they hurt him? He's had 3 matches. What the fuck is going on here? I heard some bone in the leg. It may potentially be displaced or interfered with.
The Wrestling Observer newsletter reporting, or at least their website. Oh, no, this is Dave Meltzer, so this is the newsletter. Juice Robinson suffered a broken fibula in the Collision match. I guess that's the saddest part, too, was on Collision. We'll talk more about the ratings for that after the fact, but injured on Collision.
The fibula, that's your leg, right?
Yes.
Well, goddamn. All right, and also on Collision, Cody and Garcia went to a time limit draw. That I can't believe we missed that thrilling exhibition. So then on this program that we're talking about, Hook came to the ring with a microphone. He's mad at Nick Wayne, Christian Cage, and his guys. They're the ones that got Taz, got his dad, and he wants Nick Wayne right here, right now. And as always happens in these situations, the music plays, but out comes Christian Cage and Nick's mom, but not Nick. Now, I know Nick's mom is bigger and probably tougher.
She's now got the bosom out, too, if you noticed.
Well, they're healthy upper frontal protuberances that are being accentuated as a result of their magnificency.
Because of Mina, she's starting the titty revolution.
The titty revolution?
I just coined that. Maybe I could trademark it. I'll call someone.
And maybe you could take it back before it's too late. So, as soon as Christian and Nick's mom come out the front, Pip Sabian and Nick come in the back and they jump Hook, and he fights back, but Mama Wayne gets up on the apron and he stares at her. And then Hook turned and saw Cage trying to sneak up on him. But then he turned and saw the other two heels. Nobody could sneak up from behind this guy. And finally, after some awkward catching you trying to sneak up on me back and forth, Christian hit him with the clipboard across the back, and they got some heat on him. And Pip got a chair and Nick got a chair. Honey, Pip got a chair and Nick got a chair, babe. Pip got a chair and Nick got a chair, and they whacked old fucking Hook's hand. Honey, baby. And then the heels left. So they whacked Hook's hand. Do you think Hook will be able to wrestle with a whacked hand?
I don't know. We haven't seen, who was it who had their hand broken with a hammer by Moxley and their gang?
Oh, that was,
who was it?
Old Hammer Hand. He missed him with it.
Oh,
but
Brandon Cutler. Brandon Cutler.
That's right. That's right. So he went from being ham-fisted to having a hammer hand.
Oh, hammer hand.
So then they did some more stuff, and then the Hurt Syndicate was in the back of the arena. And this was both effective and not effective, and at the same time, MVP was yelling at Shelton for not hurting Kyle and not, and he's reading him out. That's not the way we do things. That's not how we do it. I love you, man, but I'm disappointed in you. It wasn't like he was browbeating him like old Mercedes did to Camille and just demeaning him. He was yelling at him like a coach and say, you're better than that. This is not what we do. I love you, but I'm disappointed in you. That part was great. And Shelton was standing there taking it because that's what you do when you're a high-level fucking athlete. You let the coach scream at you. And then, MVP's like, you got to get angry. And Ash Lashley, you got to get angry. So they start to walk off. And then we went from a good piece of business to, oh, Jesus Christ, more AEW. Suddenly, a production assistant talking on his two-way IFB just suddenly walks into the goddamn shot.
Oh, excuse me. Were you guys doing something here?
Yeah, I didn't know there was a camera on. But he walks across the shot, and Shelton turns around and says, hey. And he starts slamming this guy up into the door. Well, then some more people come try to stop him, and MVP and Lashley come back in, and they beat the shit out of these couple of security guys and the production guy or whatever. And this was both good and bad. In terms of being good, it was the best looking example of security and backstage guys getting a shit kicked out of them you're going to see from this company. But the bad part was we've seen it from every fucking body else on the roster. And it's so cliche and overdone and it's phony because it's been done phony and it's been done meaningless. So they're having them do this to get heat back from losing when the loss didn't hurt Shelton and the promo from MVP was good enough to motivate the guy, but then they've got to beat more people up and commit aggravated mayhem that's actionable in a court of law. But
yeah, when I said I wanted them to beat people up in the back, I meant the real wrestlers. I didn't mean like stage hands.
Yeah. But nevertheless, they do them. Then we got to the Dynamite Battle Royal. Did you write down the list, Brian, of the people in the Dynamite Battle Royal that are the winners of this thing are supposed to face MJF for this valuable diamond ring that they've already bought 2 of now because first one got stolen? And it's supposed to be worth a fortune. Did you see who was in this?
I did. Well, only a few people got entrances, but there were a lot of people in there, a lot of people you haven't seen on the show in quite a while, a lot of, I guess you'd say, underdogs to win the thing.
Doom, 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 doom. When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they I won't do the whole thing. Lance Archer, Action Andretti, one or both of the Martin brothers, Rocky Romero, Kyle O'Reilly, Pizzeria Uno. The fat fuck there, his mask has stretch marks now. Adam Cole, The Butcher, Brian Cage, Leo Rush, Mark Davis. It was a jobber battle royal. And not only does the winner meet MJF on December 30th for the ring, but we wouldn't have a winner until next week because the last 2 guys in the ring that night, are going to meet next week. So they started off with a 12-man jobber battle royal and then ended up with 2 of the only guys that you could have figured that, or the 2 only guys you could have figured would have won the thing because of what they're doing, that won the thing. And now they're going to wrestle next week to see who wins the thing. What? And after a ton of contrived and choreographed crap, Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, I know you're going to be shocked, knocked Brian Cage and Lance Archer off the apron on opposite sides at the same time.
Which Excalibur called a photo finish.
Yes.
That's not how that works.
No, but, well, Excalibur, Aubrey Ed is the only person he knows that would be any kind of conversant in horse racing. So then Adam Cole tried to quit it now.
Out of nowhere. RKO
out of nowhere. And then Adam Cole is like offers his hand and Kyle tells him off in some fashion and walks out. And so now next week, the 2 friends that have been at odds over MJF are going to fight in the finals of the Battle Royal to determine, and they just entered the Battle Royal last week, and now one of them's going to win and fight MJF.
They've got a problem. No one wants to see this.
And it better be Kyle O'Reilly because he's already told Adam Cole that MJF's going to kill him.
They've hurt MJF. We hear it from the listeners. They've hurt MJF so much over the last year and a half with the booking. All anyone wanted was him to get away from all this, kind of a fresh start. And it's just more. It's more. Now there's more people. It's just more. And I think they're going to have I think if the end game is Adam Cole beating MJF, It's not really helping anyone. Watching Adam Cole and Brian Cage go back and forth here on the apron was the most ridiculous visual ever.
Yeah.
Because they're like the same height. And Brian Cage is like 150 pounds heavier with all muscle. And he had to sell for Adam Cole and his fucking flabby legs. I don't get it. I don't get it.
But they gave Adam Cole a wristwatch for Christmas last year. Now he's using it to hold his pants up.
And by the way, no one on that show should be using a super kick if Shelton Benjamin's going to do it the right way when he does.
Boy, howdy, huh?
Right? That's how you do it.
And we have not seen anybody go in for reconstructive surgery, so he's not potatoing them too bad. Anyhow, we got another spooky video from Julia about Jamie. And then, what's the deal with Caster now? He's bad. No, that's my key. He's bad. He's rotten. But no, I can understand, okay, maybe they're going to switch him heel and he'll beat up Billy Gunn to get heat so he and Bowens can fight each other or whatever. But because he's being heelish and he's grown the mustache. And he says he's the best wrestler alive. And he's running his mouth, as Rocky Johnson used to say, you're running your mouth everywhere. But at the same time, it's like they're not giving him a push. They're doing this to make a fucking moron out of him. Like, has he pissed off all of his friends and coworkers? It's that kind of push. Billy Gunn was trying to talk Caster out of wrestling Swerve tonight. Caster wouldn't listen. And Bowens is like, well, if you're the best wrestler alive, go out and prove it. Well, I just will. And Caster is clueless. And then he goes out to wrestle Swerve and did his rap and the people booed him. Go ahead.
Hold on. The ending of that segment was remarkable. Caster leaves and Billy Gunn makes a fist and a motion like, oh, I wish I could hit that kid. Renee just touches his arm. The commentator, no, don't.
No.
What the hell was that?
But that's... The people are booing the rap now, which was the thing that got him over and was the most entertaining thing about some of their matches. And then Swerve beat him up on the floor, and then Aubrey rang the bell, and then Swerve beat him up some more. And, they got a few things in, but it didn't last long, thank God. Swerve kicked him in the head and beat him 1, 2, 3. And then, after Swerve finished celebrating, he went up to the top rope, and this is a babyface, by the way. So, generally, when a babyface does this to somebody, they fucking deserve it. He went up to the top and he stood there while Caster laid there staring at him, but not moving, like he was transfixed, like, oh my God, this guy's going to jump from a great height on top of me. If only I could move. And then he did the double stomp. But Caster, did you catch it? That he must have thought, oh, this motherfucker's going to kill me. I'm scared of this. Because he not only threw his hands up in front of his face, but he ducked his head. So that, because Swerve always lands a foot on each shoulder, right? And kind of pushes the guy down, but he goes up. He landed, Swerve did, with his feet on either side of Caster's head on the mat and had to kind of act like he squatted down and hit him with his butt. Because Caster, he ducked the double stomp. And if you go back and watch in slow motion, you can see it's not like he was supposed to duck that. It was like, oh, shit, turtle. So what the fuck was this?
I don't know. I think Caster should take to Twitter to air it out. That would be my advice. I don't know.
Somebody told him, hey, that motherfucker's going to stomp the fuck out of you.
Yeah, is his reputation that he's really stiff with a move that looks like it would have to be stiff?
Or does it just mean that actually it doesn't look as stiff as the Fridge was bonsaiing people, not nearly as unprofessional. He hits the shoulders and goes off. I can see what he's doing or trying to do. I'm not saying he's never delivering a potato. But it may be one of those things where maybe the guy thought he was going to have some extra juice coming behind it. I don't know what they're doing with Caster. But anyway, should we talk about is there anything to say about the MJF pre-tape? About Adam Cole and how over they were until Cole turned on him? And, more fine delivery of stuff that nobody cares about. And then we got to 9 o'clock. Speaking of a segue, stuff that nobody cares about. I can't wait to see the ratings on this one. Was the match in the, the Cadillac or the Lincoln Continental, I started to say Cadillac tournament, between Jay White and Pac the longest match in AEW history, or did it just seem like it?
That's every Jay White match. Every match goes 20, feels like it goes 30.
It was, and again, the endless, meaningless matches in a tournament and somebody's going to say, well, they're not meaningless. It's a tournament. It's for a belt that nobody cares about, with random people fighting each other in a round robin situation, faces versus faces, heels versus heels. As we've talked about, some people can pull that off, some can't.
And if you really care, you got to watch 3 different shows.
Yes, which is, that's theoretically, that's a marketing ploy. Well, to understand all this, they'll have to watch all 3 shows, but people are instead opting to just not watch the fucking shows. And it's all a way for Tony to copy Japanese wrestling booking that's drier than a nun's minge instead of doing something for his American television program. So this was 2 guys doing moves back and forth to each other for what felt like from here to eternity, whether it made sense or not. Here was 15 minutes into the match. Pac kicked Jay White 4 times in a row in different places on his body. And Jay White would stand up, he'd bend over, he'd stagger back. He never fell down. And then he ducked another kick and started doing shit to Pac. And then Pac got a submission hold on Jay White that looked like kind of a variation on an abdominal stretch. But Jay White had both his feet on the ground and was squatting down with Pac on his back, putting on this submission hold. And the announcers are saying, is he going to tap? How about is he going to stand up straight and fall backwards with this asshole on his back? How can you have a submission hold on him when you've got him picked up in the air and you could spike him on his fucking head if you wanted to? Oh, I can't. I wish I could do something to get out of this painful hold that this monkey on my back has on me. But White got a rope break. He struggled over to the ropes doing a duck walk like Chuck Berry in a concert in 1957.
Orson, roll over, Beethoven, bang, 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 bang. Sweet little 16.
Now we know more meaning behind that song title, thanks to Chuck's exploits. So then finally, Jay White is on the floor where he's got the rope break, and suddenly Wheeler Useless shows up and hits a running Bryan Danielson fucking knee on the guy on the floor and rolled him in the ring. And Pac picked him up, and Jay White, who just got the fucking interference from the second that you're not supposed to have, and got blistered with a knee that he never saw coming, he gets picked up by Pac for Pac to finish him, and Jay White grabs his Pac and hits his own finish. 1, 2, 3. And what the fuck? Well, the knee from Wheeler woke him up, I guess. How much sense did that make?
Sense? What sense? It didn't make any sense at all. It's AEW. Made sense to Tony.
Then Wheeler gets on Jay White, but Jay White hits his finish on Wheeler. And then Marina Shafir comes in, and Moxley jumps Jay White from behind and beats him up and double arm DDTs him. And then the heels start to leave. But then Adam Page's music plays. And Page comes out. And Moxley and Page face off in the entranceway like they're going to have a fucking issue. But then suddenly a cable puller on the camera crew in a hoodie and a black COVID mask walks into the floor shot accidentally and then puts the cable around Moxley's neck. It's fucking Pockets. It's the company mascot. Still in this fucking deal. And now as he's got the fucking cable around Moxley's neck, then Adam Page gets on Moxley and he starts fucking fighting him. But Marina Shafir gets on Pockets to pull him off and keeps him on the floor until he backdropped her over the railing. So we've established there's no backdrops in domestic disputes, so a man is allowed to backdrop a woman. Meanwhile, Pac and Wheeler were in on Adam Page, saving Moxley from him, but Pockets got in the ring and made a comeback on them. This is insane. They were bumping for the company mascot. And then Moxley and Pockets face off, and Pockets hits him with a Superman punch, and Moxley staggers, but he don't go down. But then Jay White, remember he was in this about 15 minutes ago. He's gotten up and hits his finish on Moxley. But wait, there's more, because then when Moxley staggers up, Page is on the apron and hits the buckshot on Moxley. Buckshot on Moxley.
You can call me Moxley.
And he's mucked the whole thing up. And then the heels took off and got out of there. Well, I say the heels. Moxley's group got out of there. Pockets is in the ring. Jay White, who used to be a heel and now is a babyface, is in there. And we don't know what the fuck Page's deal is. And so, Brian, would you read that back to me?
I can't read it back to you again. Adam Page seemingly has turned babyface by just hanging around. And Orange Cassidy getting his comeback on Jon Moxley, who didn't sell his orange punch at all. And they're still pushing Jay White. And this is bad. This is just bad shit.
It's bad. It's bad. It's rotten.
Moxley and Yuta dress like they both go shopping for clothes at Nemo's Army Navy store. Like, what the fuck? This shit's awful. And the ratings prove it.
Well, did you watch Anna Jay versus Penelope Pitstop?
I did.
Well, I didn't, so what'd I miss?
You missed a match that went a while, and, you know, the crowds never really react to these matches the way they do other matches, and they're setting up Anna Jay and Mercedes Moné. So Moné came out to confront her from the stage.
Oh, I saw the finish.
Well, that's all I have to say about that.
Well, Anna Jay won now. Give her proper due.
And I have said that that's the one woman there they should push because she's marketable, she's young, she'll take stupid bumps.
You just get behind her and get the palms of your hands right together and just push. Push.
No one said, hey, it's pervert time. No one said that.
Heavenly shades of night are falling. It's pervert time. So what I liked about this was when Anna Jay won, she got the microphone and she said, I want to see Mercedes Moon right now. And the music played within, bam, like that. And here comes Mercedes, and she faked her way to the ring and told Anna Jay off, and Anna Jay slapped her. And Mercedes started taking off of her jewelry so she could fight, but then she looked at her watch and don't have time. And she left.
The best part was when Camille came out and got her revenge by kicking the shit out of Mercedes.
Yeah, that would have been the best part had that happened at all. So then Renee Moxley Good was in the back with Maria May talking about Mina Mellons. Where did Toni Storm go? She's the one that started this whole thing with Maria. I thought that was supposed to be some big goddamn major blockbuster, massive, long-running program based on a major motion picture starring Bette Davis.
She's the one who started the whole thing of saying the word tits on AEW TV.
Yeah. So where's the chief titler?
Well, she works for Tony Khan. Maybe she's, resting up, or as some people may call it, working for free for, some other enterprise.
Hopefully her ankles are all right. So anyway, Maria was talking when Mina ran in behind her with a champagne bottle and came up behind her and grabbed her and handed Maria the champagne bottle and said, "Here, do it to my face." Is that how they phrase it now? Do it to my face? Because, I'm an older man. I haven't been in the dating pool in a while.
Maybe they don't phrase it like that, but the other thing is, who the fuck would do that? You hit me in the face with a bottle. Here, try it again while I'm looking right at you.
Yes, last time you hit me across the back of the head. At least it saved my eyesight, but now I want you to bash me in the fucking face with this bottle. I'll stand right here. And then Mina told her, "Winter is coming," and something else, I don't know what the fuck, and she walked off.
That's an AEW thing. You walk off. You don't come back to Dynamite for months. Where's Britt Baker? Where's Toni Storm? Where's anyone?
Is it walk off or walk out? And then we were ready for the main event of the evening, Brian. I know we didn't give this. See, the problem was this show wasn't any better than it normally is, but it also wasn't as fucking incoherent in a hilarious way. It was just dreck. So we're already here at the main event, another tournament match, Brody King versus Claudio. Okay, Brian, goddammit, unless you were watching a black and white television. What the fuck? Have they just hired somebody's sister-in-law to do the spray tans? We talked about MJF was looking a little off color a few weeks ago, but Adam Cole has become a Simpsons character, and to the point where, remember the freeze frame of that somebody tweeted where they spray tanned him with his knee pads on in the right place, and when they slipped down during the match, you saw he had white bands around his legs?
Yeah. Are they spray tanning him right before they go out?
But now Brody King, with all those tattoos, he was orange and yellow in varying places. There was no skin tone color to anything on Brody King. And remember, he's usually a paler white fat guy with a lot of tattoos, but now he was an orange and yellow tinged fellow with a lot of tattoos. And you can do that professionally and correctly, right? No matter what motley skin a guy has. One would think.
Yeah, there are plenty of people who've had fake tans over the years that people wouldn't know it if they, people wouldn't know it at all. And then if you really thought about it, yeah, I guess you could think about.
Well, you'd have to pull a guy's, jockey shorts down and take a look around his balls really to find out if it was a fake tan or not, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, for years, no one's fake tan was really in question, but all of a sudden lately there is.
Well, and also you don't fake tan the balls. So that would be the test. I think there's a federal mandate against that.
Back to you.
Back to me. I was talking to you.
About?
It was me talking about balls.
Federally mandated balls. I have nothing else to contribute.
Ball regulations. Can you Google them? Anyway, Claudio kicked him in the balls and beat him 1, 2, 3. And nothing else happened for once at the end of the show. And they only ran about 6 minutes over, and it wasn't worth that. To hell.
I'm going to be surprised if that match doesn't die in the ratings.
Well, as a matter of fact, I guess that's where we need to go next, is talking about the ratings on this fiasco.
Well, they're not in as of now, so we will travel to the future. And if they're not there then, we're kind of fucked. We'll talk about something else.
Then we'll come back to the past and make them up.
We shall return in the future. All right, we're in the future. Whatever you think of that, it sounded better than Shivani and Excalibur. Let's say that.
I think maybe that was one of the outtakes from Boston's Third Stage album, wasn't it?
Well, that's kind of the mood I'm in, and it's late. As we are recording, the ratings just came in.
We traveled through time so we could wait on the waitings, and finally the waitings have come in.
Well, we have lots of waitings here to talk about. But before we get to Dynamite, because again, it goes to this bigger story, I believe last week's Dynamite, was it the lowest rated Dynamite in its regular time slot ever? Was that what it was?
Something like that. And we went back and said in years after the pandemic, 2021, it was 800-something thousand, 22, 800-something thousand, 23, 800-something thousand. This was 500-something thousand.
Well, Rampage and Collision both ran on Saturday, back-to-back, neither in their normal time slot. Rampage is usually Friday night. They didn't have the joy of being in the Friday night 10 p.m. time slot here. They were at 6 p.m. on TBS on Saturday for 2 hours.
Well, wait, 6 o'clock on... They should have just held off 5 more minutes.
Now, that followed 2 hours of Collision, which is usually, I believe, 8 o'clock on Saturdays. It aired at 4 o'clock before the show that airs on Fridays, usually.
What
Rampage.
in the goddamn hell? Are you just vomiting these words? I say fie upon you, sir.
Well, let's start with
what you're saying is Collision and Rampage aired from 4 o'clock until 7 o'clock on Saturday, instead of the normal Saturday night 8 to 10 and Friday night 10 to 11.
That is correct.
God damn it, why didn't you say that then?
Well, why don't we start with AEW Collision? According to WrestleNomics, AEW Collision, Saturday, November 30th, 2024 on TNT, not TBS, I'm an idiot, 4 to 6 p.m.
All of these things can be true.
On average, was watched by 144,000 viewers.
Oh!
It was the lowest overall number as well as the lowest key demo number, 18 to 49-year-old males, in Collision's history. The previous low, September 6, 2024, also a preemption, which averaged 157.
It's not, and by the way, goddamn it, Thurston or anybody else writing these, it's not a preemption if it airs. It's a new time, new day, change time. But if something is preempted, that means this program will be preempted tonight so that we can bring you a special report. It ain't shown if it's preempted. God damn it, I'm sorry.
Well,
what was that you were saying?
I was saying, what was I saying? I was saying
I don't know. You were saying it.
Well, you know, one of the things I was going to say, but I'll wait to say it. Well, I'll say it right now. Fuck it. This is awful, ladies and gentlemen, but it's late.
Say it. Say it.
You know, when you see on Dynamite the highlights or the lowlights, like you see Juice Robinson getting hurt and you see like things being built up on these other shows, and then you hear these numbers, you're like, why? Just focus on Dynamite. Why are you doing any of this?
I swear you stole my point that I was going to make there, Mr. Pointy McSteelington, because you see all the time there these odd backstage, just more talk and graphics and everything. Here's what's going to happen on Collision. And it's like word of mouth telling your immediate family. 144. What? In all of the United States of America, are there not more than 144,000 people just watching that cable network on a regular Saturday from 4 to 6 or whatever the fuck?
It's amazing. Remember when you would get excited if you heard there was going to be a block of wrestling, a block being 2 shows back to back? Like, oh my God.
Yes. There were 144,000 homes or people, maybe not homes, but people probably watching goddamn Joe Pedicino's Superstars of Wrestling block in Atlanta in 1986.
Well, that was just Collision. AEW Rampage, same day, TNT, 6 to 7 p.m. As it states here, a preempted airing. On average, watched by 126,000 viewers.
Christ!
Once again, the lowest overall and the lowest key demo numbers in Rampage's history. The previous low was just a few weeks ago, November 1st, which was not a preemption, and averaged 172,000 viewers.
Well, so 6 to 7 o'clock did worse than 4 to 6 o'clock. I've heard of late night programs Fight and Sleep, but wait, Fight and Dinner? What?
And not that we're going
that time slot on TBS, there was no TNT, but that time slot on Saturday night on TBS, when I was on that program about, 38 years ago, was doing 4 million fucking people.
Oh, I'm looking, we'll do this real quick without too much. Again, compiled by WrestleNomics, quarter hours for this giant block of wrestling. They opened with 165,000 viewers for Juice versus Ospreay.
Continues. And then they saw Juice go down and they said, oh, fuck it.
Well, continued into quarter two, 141,000 for the match continuing. Mariah May's backstage promo, and the start of Johnny TV, that's Johnny Nitro, and the MXM collection. Is it M&M? I guess it's supposed to be M&M.
That's fine with me. I never speak of them.
The M&M collection versus Mystico and Private Party. That match continued.
That noted three-man team.
Mystico, one of the biggest stars in the history of Lucha Libre and modern Lucha Libre. He's on the Saturday night show in front of nobody. That match continued into quarter three, 4:30 to 4:45 p.m. Then there was an ad break, an Anna Jay promo, the Beast Mortos versus Kyle Fletcher with picture-in-picture and full-screen ads.
Who are you supposed to cheer for there?
109,000 viewers. That's the low for the night. 27,000 in the key demo. You say 141 or whatever it was before, we would have more, if we did, blah, blah, blah back in the day. You'd have done anything. 27,000 in the key demo. That's astounding.
Yeah.
When we go to quarter four, continuation of Frank the Lawyer versus Kyle Fletcher. The Undisputed Kingdom Kyle O'Reilly backstage angle, whatever that may be. An ad break. Callis and Takeshita's promo. And the Iron Savages versus the Outrunners.
Oh, boy.
Well, they moved the numbers. 154,000 viewers.
They picked them up.
That match continued, and the post-match in the next quarter with FTR and Max Caster backstage promo, and the start of Hangman Page versus Wheeler Yuta with picture-in-picture, 145,000. That match continues into 5:15, whatever quarter this is, followed by a post-match with the Death Riders and Jay White. Thunder Rosa, she's still there. Thunder Rosa's backstage promo, Paige and Christopher Daniels backstage angle, and Mina Shirakawa versus Layla Gray. Why don't you put that on Dynamite? Jesus.
Oh, quit.
157,000 viewers. Willow Nightingale's backstage promo and ad break, and Okada versus Garcia brought the show down to 129,000 next. But then Rampage began at 5:45. Well, yeah, I guess that's what it says here. 5:45 p.m. with Garcia and Okada continuing with picture-in-picture and full screen, 151,000. Thunder Rosa versus Harley Cameron, Mercedes Moné promo, Atlantis Jr., Shibata, and Mascara Dorada.
What in the world is going on here?
Versus Action Andretti and
That's
Top
all
Flight.
one team?
That was a team. Atlantis Jr., Shibata, and Mascara Dorada versus Action Andretti and Top Flight, 141,000. That continues into the next quarter. And then picture-in-picture ads, ad break, Patriarchy video, Nick Wayne promo, 117,000 viewers.
Oh.
And then is this the main event? Oh, no, it's not. There's one after this. The Beast Mortos versus Serpentico.
Didn't he just wrestle?
Yeah, I guess he wrestled twice on this show. With picture-in-picture and full-screen ads and a Camille backstage angle. What was that?
They probably made her clean a toilet.
Followed by an ad break, 120,000. And finally, the big 6:45, 7 p.m. quarter hour, the main event.
Bring it home strong.
Hechechero versus Commander.
Oh, no.
With picture-in-picture ads, 125,000 viewers.
And they gained 5,000 from the... Boy, howdy. I'll tell you what, it was a small but hearty group that they started, as usual, with the highest point, 165,000. I think some people had just wandered in and didn't realize what they were getting into. But there was almost nobody watching, but they kept most of them. They ended up after 3 hours with 125, and they never went below 109. So you got to admire consistency in this for once. What the...
And we've talked about in the recent past the idea that Dynamite, the way things are going, and the realization that everyone has finally come to, that we were already at a long time ago, it's never going to get better because Tony Khan, they're catching up in ratings to what Rampage and Collision were when we were talking about how low they were a few months ago. AEW Dynamite, Jim, December 4th, 2024, 8 to 10:06 p.m. On average, watched by 586,000 viewers.
Oh, so...
But that's up 9% from last week, which was 536.
And that's what I've said. So last week they saw it's the night before Thanksgiving. And then there was the playoffs. And then it was the all-night gas station. What?
Drones.
The drones.
The drones. I have a competition note here from WrestleNomics. Dynamite ranked approximately number 7 for the night in the key demo. 2 college basketball games airing in primetime on ESPN. All 3 hours of Fox News' primetime lineup. And The Challenge on MTV. Ranked ahead of Dynamite. Let's go to the quarter.
Who challenged who to do what there on MTV?
Well, let's go to the quarter hours, and I will say in advance what I thought would happen based on who they're pushing and what the main event was. That's exactly what fucking happened. Quarter 1, 8 to 8:15 p.m., compiled by WrestleNomics. Kyle Fletcher versus Shelton Benjamin with picture-in-picture.
Best match of the show.
741,000 viewers.
And that will probably be the high point of the viewing experience.
Quarter 2, 8:15, 8:30 p.m. The continuation of Fletcher versus Benjamin. The Hook Live promo and his angle with Christian and the Patriarchy. The Mercedes Moné promo. And an ad break.
Boy, that thing went south quick, didn't it?
694,000 viewers.
It could have been worse. That's only 47,000 people, and they normally do worse than that from quarter 1 to quarter 2, so it could have been worse.
Well, here we go. Quarter 3, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. The Hurt Syndicate's backstage beatdown. It just says backstage, but that's where they beat up people. The Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal with picture-in-picture ads. And a Jamie Hayter video.
Dynamite Dozen. If talent was dynamite, they couldn't have blown their fucking noses.
617,000 viewers.
Ouch. There goes another 77,000 people, bringing the total from the start of the show in 45 minutes to 124,000 people we've offended.
Quarter 4, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn's backstage. It just says backstage. It was their promo, and they had an argument. Swerve Strickland versus Max Caster. An ad break. And MJF's bar promo. 569,000 viewers.
Oh, and that's 48,000 more people, bringing the total from that they've lost in the first hour to 100 and God damn, I can't do it. 172,000 people.
Well, we go from there to the big 9 o'clock hour, 9 to 9:15 p.m. Quarter 5, Pac versus Jay White. with picture-in-picture ads.
That's the one I thought would fucking break the camel's back.
581,000 viewers.
Okay, so they actually brought 12,000 back, but now that they've done that thing that they've done, I wonder if people have decided, well, now we've seen everything.
We go now to quarter 6, 9:15 and 9:30 p.m., the finish of Pac versus White, the post-match with Jon Moxley, Adam Page, and Orange Cassidy, Jamie Hayter's promo, an ad break, Chris Jericho's promo.
Oh, I forgot about he was plugging the Hammerstein Ballroom events in a very cheesy and insincere way.
Yeah, he sucks. And then there was this we didn't even talk about, the Bandito video. Did you see this?
I didn't even...
Where they're on like an old Western set and they're putting up wanted signs for Bandito, the masked luchador.
Fuck, I must have thought that was one of the commercials. I just fast-forwarded it.
Well, I'm sure there'll be more where that came from. 585,000 viewers.
Well, they're holding them in there.
Well, we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Penelope Ford versus Anna Jay with picture-in-picture, and the post-match with Mercedes Moné, followed by an ad break.
The people may start fighting harder to get away.
504,000 viewers.
And 81,000 succeeded. So now we are down 237,000 people from the start of the program.
We go now to quarter 8. I remind you we have an 8. I remind you we have a 6-minute overrun. Quarter 8, 9:45 to 10 p.m. Mariah May's promo and confrontation with Mina Shirakawa, and Claudio Castagnoli versus Brody King with picture-in-picture. This is the one I would have bet on. 440,000 viewers.
Oh, mother of all creatures, big and small.
6-minute overrun, 476,000 viewers. So they picked them up at the end from the all-time low of the show.
Well, the program this week that was scheduled after was Wipeout, where their game show that they do. So did 36,000 people said, I'll watch Wipeout. And boy, did they get it. They watched a Wipeout all right. Ha, 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 Wipeout. 440,000. So they lost officially from the start of regulation to the end of regulation, 301,000 viewers. What is the, Brian? What kind of
God
percentage?
Damn you. Oh, fuck you. Give it to me.
And now if you take 440 and you put it into 741 and divide it by what percentage of the people did they lose when they started with 741 and ended up with 440? That's like 45%, isn't it?
It is 41%.
Good Lord. Almost half of the people wouldn't stay to the end of a 2-hour program.
Again, the women's match, as much as I talk about how much I like Anna Jay, it's the women's segment. So people are going to not watch into Claudio. You have to be a real dedicated fan to want to sit there and watch a Claudio main event.
But they started the hour with 581,000 people, which was right off of their average. Yeah. And that's, again, if you take the first quarter out, as we mentioned, that to get a real number of their audience, take the first quarter and the overrun out.
We're hearing from more people than we have. I think we used to hear it a little bit, but it's the early days, so I didn't know what to believe and what not to believe. But we're hearing more and more now from people who don't watch AEW. They'll listen to the reviews. They'll keep up with it on a different site. They'll read like what's going on, but they're not watching. And when you read what the lineup is for the show, you can't blame anyone. It's every one of these shows. Tony is hands-on with all of these shows. Look at where Collision is. We always focus on Dynamite. Look at where Collision is, and look at where it was. Not even the debut with Punk. Look at where it was a few weeks later, and look at where it is now. Look at Rampage. Think about where that was. And where it is now.
Rampage was the debut of Punk also.
And they're making a big deal now. They're going to be simulcast on Max. The last thing they want right now is more exposure to this kind of product. It drives their own fans away. And it's brutal on anyone who's not one of their own fans.
Well, but they've done a job on the ones they had. Yes, the Punk thing hurt them because he brought however many eyeballs to their show, and then they ran him off, and then they laughed about it publicly on their television show, basically. So they pissed those people off. They lost the people who were mad at Vince McMahon and his evil empire and the way he cheated and fucked around the wrestlers and whatever. And they lost that because they ain't mad at him anymore. He's gone, and they love the company now. And they lost when they promised the sports-based presentation. Those were lost pretty quick when they found out that it was going to be statistics and numbers that Tony sees in his head at night, but not anything to do with a professional sport in the way that it looked, because Tony's handpicked EVPs, except for Cody, couldn't pull that off.
And, I was just going to say, going back to what Effy said earlier in that thing we played, everything we heard about Tony was his background, that everything in his background was something his dad set him up with.
Well, and this wasn't even something his dad set him up with in terms of he had booking experience from booking on the internet with his other two friends that he mentioned that always liked his ideas. But it's an example of the one other example I was going to give was every time a big name has come in that excited people and got people to go, oh, wow, the wow factor. Within 4 to 6 weeks, they're part of the fucking roster, and or they're less interesting than they were when they came in, and they lose the goodwill of that too. So they run off the talent that brought people. They marginalize the talent that comes in over and then ain't that way very long. They lost the ability to snatch WWE fans because they're not mad at the WWE anymore, and the state of the show, the way it looks over here, they've done the best they could to run off every little segment of 50,000 here, 20,000 or whatever, and now it's added up to a chunk. That's where these people are going.
Another thing you would hear early on when there were ratings issues, not like this. Ratings issue was when under 900,000, like early on. Well, look at the YouTube numbers. Because that is the way a lot of young people consume content. YouTube, TikTok, social media. If you go look, their numbers are like well off what they were. The interest has completely died for AEW.
I mean, goddamn, our YouTube clips do better numbers than Rampage and Collision did this week.
It's not like this wasn't said out loud early on that this was going to be what happened. But those were the ratings, and this is your show.
It is? I've forgotten. It's been so long since we started it. Well, in that case,
it's my show. I forgot.
Oh, well, in that case, fuck you. Close this son of a bitch.
Hold on. We'll have questions back on the show next week again. We've had some audio issues.
I've got a lot of questions.
You got questions?
I've got many questions. I'm asking myself right now about my relationship with this program.
Oh, well, why don't you write a letter to AEW HR? It's hard to say when you say it quickly. AEW HR and see how far you get with that.
Well, maybe I'll get 3 years' salary.
And then as soon as Punk went to WWE, they pulled that offer off the table. How about that? Right? It was on the table in the fall of 2023, and then Punk went to Survivor Series, and all of a sudden it was, we'll take our chances with you.
Yeah.
Well, you can hear more of this kind of... that sucked. Well, where's the other thing? The drive-thru's closed.
Why don't you just play a tune on the meat whistle to play them off, Johnny?
I don't know about that, Johnny. But the drive-thru is here. The experience is there, and we'll be back there in a few days, and you can hear it wherever you find your favorite podcast. And again, next week on the drive-thru, questions, CornyDriveThru@gmail.com. Archive, patreon.com/Cornette. $5 a month gets you access to the beginning of the show in 2013. And check out those archives, patreon.com/Cornette. The official Jim Cornette YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Jim Cornette. I'm snapping my fingers for no reason. It'll come right up. Cornette's Collectibles, JimCornette.com. What's going on, Jim?
Sales, but you might be late, so don't blame me. Good day to you.
Don't blame him. Sue him. From the law of Sir Stephen P. New. Tell him about it, Jim.
Well, don't sue me. Sue you.
877-50-STEVE. Get even
sue,
with Stephen.
Sue City, sue.
Get even with Stephen, newlawoffice.com. But that's it. If there were any audio issues on my end, I apologize. We're going to try to fix them in post, but I had some technical difficulties here today.
Yeah, there were some difficulties over there, folks. You wouldn't know the half of it.
But the fun continues on the experience. Until then, for Jim Cornette, I'm the great Brian Last. Tally-ho!